Hey, what's up, noob? How you doing, man? How you doing? I appreciate it. I appreciate it. This is my very first live stream here. I wanted to do a video. Well, I got the idea to do this video. Um, what's up, man? What's up? I appreciate it. I appreciate it, noob. I really appreciate it, man. You know, I got the idea to do this video. I had a conversation with my uncle recently, and he and I were talking about movies, and he had recently seen a movie. It's an old movie starring Vincent Price called Bernadette, and the theme of this film was, hey, what's up? What's up, Brian? How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? I just got started, you know. So I was just explaining how I got the idea to do this video. And my uncle and I were having a conversation. He was talking about an old film. I believe it came out like 1938, starring Vincent Price. It's called A Song for Bernadette. And hey, what's up? What's up, Ryan? What's up? What's up, man? Ryan from what's up? What's up? How you doing, Ryan from Ireland? Hey, all right. What's up from US of A, man? What's up? How you been doing? You been doing all right? All right. Good. 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 All right. All right. So we got a couple of people in here right now. It's all good, man. I really appreciate the support that you guys have shown my channel. And the love that you've given my videos, man, the videos that I've posted. I love film, man. I love film. And, you know, I mean, it's a blessing to be able to share that love, man, with people who also love film, you know. And so that's why I do it, man. That's why I do it, you know. Hey, what's up, noob? How you doing, man? How you doing? Have you seen the good movies lately? All right. All right. Good. Good. All right. All right. So we got Noob Rain in here, and we have Ryan Burns from Ireland. Hey, all right. I appreciate it. I appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. And as I was saying, we were talking about this film, Bernadette, that my uncle had seen last week, and the theme of this film, I never got a chance to see it yet, but the theme of this film just kind of made me think of all the films I've seen that have this theme of faith in it, you know, because, you know, faith is a really big theme in a lot of movies. There's a lot of more movies than you think with that theme in it. And, you know, the movies that have that theme are the last films that you would expect to be talking about faith, you know, when you really peel away all the layers and you get down to really what the film is really about, which is what I like to do. I like to get into what the film is really about, the essence of the film. And so there are a lot of films out here with that theme. You know, I've picked out 7 films for this particular video. Some you're going to be familiar with. It depends on your it depends on how many movies you've seen, on what type of movies you like, and hopefully some that you haven't heard about will be films that you might want to go and take a look. Might be films that you might want to go and take a look at on your own, you know. But rest assured that, hey, what's up, Ryan? How you doing, man? I appreciate it, man. I appreciate your support, Ryan. I really do, man. I appreciate it, man. Thumbs up to you, man. Much love too. Thumbs up and much love. Much love, man. I really appreciate it, man. I appreciate the comments. I appreciate the thumbs up. I mean, I appreciate it, man. It's just to me, it's just the idea of being able to resonate with people who like the type of movies that I like, because I like all kinds of movies, man. I've seen I mean, I own probably too many movies right now. I really don't have a living room anymore. It's more like a warehouse, you know. But you know, but that's the way it is, you know, when you find something that you really love. And that's why I have this channel, and that's why I love talking about film. But as I was saying, there are a lot of films with that theme of faith in it, and I really wanted to make some recommendations of some films that you know there's gonna be a few films in here that you gonna look at and you're gonna say, oh, of course the thumbnail you see the Exorcist is up there, you know, of course, you know. But there are some films out here that people have probably never been exposed to, you know, as far as films that are popular, because a lot of the, you know, what I found is that, you know, you really have to get off the beaten path to really see the really good movies. You know, there are some really good mainstream movies out here, but you know, it's been my experience that the best movies, or the really good movies, are the movies that are not necessarily the most popular movies. And so that's, you know, part of the reason why I did this video also, is that I want to be able to share with you some of the films that I have enjoyed throughout my life, and some of the films that frankly I've checked out as recently as this week, you know. So hey, what's up? Who is this? Sid? Wait, what's up, Sid? All right, Sid from England. What's up? Sid from England. What's up, man? How you doing? All right. Hey, man, I appreciate it, man. I really appreciate it, Sid, man. I appreciate it a lot, man. I appreciate it a lot. Like I said, man, you know, I don't take anything for granted with you guys, man, because you're giving me the most valuable commodity there is, and that's your time. You know, just from you taking 10, 15 minutes to look at my videos, man, I think I take that as a real blessing. I really do. I really do, man. I mean, you know, it's like being able to really share what you love to do with people who also love film and also can appreciate my point of view and where I'm coming from as far as film, because everybody has a different perspective and everybody looks at everything differently. And so all I do here and all I look at this as is just an opportunity for me to be able to express my point of view and to be able to do it in my way, you know. Hey, what's up, Kate? What's up? All right, Kate Bailey. Kate Bailey. Hey, what's up? How you doing, Kate? All right, all right, all right. Thumbs up to you too. Thumbs up to you too, and I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. You know, I kind of wanted to do something different here, because when I do the film analysis, you know, they are so structured. You know, it's so much. It's so much planning that goes into and writing that goes into it, and I don't really get a chance to really go off script because of the complexity of the film analysis. Because of film analysis, you can't really. I explained this to somebody recently, that you really cannot ad lib, because it's, you know, everything is so complicated, and if you take one piece or one word out, you really mess up the whole thing. So I look at this really as an opportunity for me to kind of just, you know, let my hair down a little bit and just, you know, be able to interact and reach out to you guys and show you how much I really appreciate your support, and you guys supporting my channel by watching my videos. You know, just by watching the videos and just giving me a thumbs up and affirmation that, hey, you know, you appreciate what I do, because I appreciate the time that you take to watch my videos, you know. So yeah, I really appreciate it. And as I was explaining how I came to get the idea to do this video. It came out of a conversation I had with my uncle recently, and he was talking about a film, called Bernadette, and this film stars Vincent Price. And I love those old vintage movies. I love vintage movies, and this film, from the synopsis that he gave me, it kind of gave me the idea. I said, wait a minute, there are a lot of films out there that have this common theme of faith. And so I said it would be kind of fun if I could put a video together where I can make some recommendations to my subscribers and to others, who are looking for, kind of a change of pace, and also looking for a perspective in a film, because sometimes you could watch a film and you could watch it with your perspective, but somebody can give you a different perspective, and it'll make that whole experience brand new. It'll make it like a completely brand new experience because you're looking at it through someone else's perspective. So I figured that I will put this video together, and there's some movies here that I'm pretty sure that you've probably seen, especially from that thumbnail of The Exorcist. Of course you've seen it, but I was putting this together with the hopes of maybe you could see some of the films on this list that you are familiar with from a different perspective, that'll make the movie a little new to you, that'll kind of let you re-experience it in a whole different way. That's why I like doing film analysis, because it's a way of helping someone who's already seen a film to be able to see it in a completely different way, because we all look at things from a different perspective. And hey, what's up, Mr. T? What's up, Mr. T? What's up, man? How you doing, bro? How you doing, man? Congratulations on all your success. This guy, Terrence McGuana, is incredible, man. I call this guy the natural, because this guy just got into it. And I'm like, I was talking to him, and he said, hey, man, I think I might want to try to do a review. I said, well, go ahead. And I turned around and looked, man. I mean, this guy is flying, man. He is truly a natural. He's truly a natural. And this guy really loves film. He really loves film. There's no hustle with this guy. This guy is sincere. He really loves film. And he really loves interacting with people who love the type of films that he reviews on his channel. You need to check him out. Terrence McGuana is amazing film reviewer, and also an amazing human being. And I really mean that. Beautiful man. I really appreciate. What's up, man? What's up, man? Well, I had to do something live, man. I had to do something, man, because, I wanted to reach out. I was explaining earlier. Say me and Robert Redford. I was explaining earlier though that when I do film analysis, which I still love, and really that's really me. I really like doing the film analysis because I like investigating film. I like to dissect and pull film and pull the film apart to really see what's really underneath the film. But I felt like this would be a good way for me to really reach out and interact with you guys. To be able to interact with you guys in real time about the type of films that I like, and hopefully, you might see a film or two on this list that you'll like. Yeah, the natural. Yeah, you are. You are the natural, man. You're the natural. I got to work at it. I'm just trying to keep up with you, Terrence. Honestly, I'm just trying to keep up with you, man. But let me get going with this. As I said, I want to put together a list of films about faith. Film about faith, and that's what this is about. We're going into it. We're going into this. Sure. Hey, man, let's do it. Thank you, Kate. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And that I am. That I am. That I am. I love the process of reading the script and just pulling, just really taking the clothes off of it, really stripping it down to really what it is. That's what I love. That's what I'm drawn to that, I mean, film reviews, I love, film reviews are cool, but I love to be able to tear film, to be able to go into the script and to really get into the mind, because to me, I think the script is to me, the script is like really getting into the mind of the writer. Or if it's a film that's written and directed by the same individual, I like getting into the script, because when you get into the script, you really get into the nuts and bolts of what's really going on behind the scenes in the story that you're seeing on the screen. Because what makes what's on the screen work is what's behind what you see on the screen. It's like anything. You could look at a building. You could look at a building. What makes it work is the infrastructure. That's what makes that building work, and that's what makes a good film work. What makes a film work is the infrastructure. A lot of people can't see that because that infrastructure works beneath the subconscious. And so when you're getting into the film analysis, I'm getting completely off topic. I'm getting completely off topic. I'm gonna get to these comments. Hey man, right on, man. I appreciate it, man. You shown me some stuff too, man. Definitely, man. Definitely, Terrence. I appreciate it. But look, I want to get into this film analysis. Not this film analysis. Y'all messing me up. I want to get into these recommendations. These recommendations of films about faith. That's what the theme of this video is. Films about faith. I'm gonna be getting back to these comments as we go through this video. So I want to get to the first film. Our first film on this list of film about faith is The Exorcist. The Exorcist. The Exorcist came out in 1973. It's directed by William Friedkin and it's based on the 1971 book by William Peter Blatty. It stars Ellen Burstyn, Max von Sydow, J Cobb, Jason Miller, and Linda Blair. Now, this film was nominated for 10 Academy Awards. It's unusual for a film in any genre to be nominated for 10 Academy Awards, but this film was not. This is a horror film, a fringe genre, nominated for 10 Academy Awards. Okay, 10 Academy Awards, 3 in the acting category. 3. Ellen Burstyn was nominated for Best Actress. Jason Miller was nominated for Best Supporting Actor, and Linda Blair, who at that time was only 13 years old, I believe 12 or 13, she was nominated. She actually got a Best Supporting Actress nomination herself. Now the film won for Best Sound. It actually won for Best Sound, but I will say this, and this is unusual, this film was nominated for Best Picture. This film, The Exorcist, was nominated for Best Picture. And when you think about just how deep the 70s was, the 70s was among the deepest decades when you talk about great cinema. You're talking about the Godfather films. You're talking about Apocalypse Now. You're talking about oh my God, man. You talking about Al Pacino's films, the one film that he did, the film where I'm trying to think of this film where they was robbing, it was based on a true story and they robbed a bank. I forgot the name of it. Oh man, I actually did a film review on this movie and I forgot the name of it. But when you think about the 70s, Taxi Driver, when you think about the 70s, you're talking about one of the deepest decades. Most of them films that we call great today came out of the 70s. That decade, and for this film, The Exorcist, to be nominated for Best Picture. It didn't win, but nominated for Best Picture is pretty incredible. That's pretty incredible. Now, 3 of these actors in this film, Ellen Burstyn, Jason Miller, and Linda Blair were unknowns at the time that they did this film. I believe this was their first film or around their first film. Hey, hold up, I got to get some love out here. This is Stan. Dog Day Afternoon, man. Right on, man. Right on. You got me. Right on, Stan, man. I appreciate it, man. Stan and Ryan, boy. I'm talking about, man. Thank you. I appreciate that, man. Oh, yeah, Chinatown. Oh, my God. Chinatown, man. Oh, man. Like I said, the 70s was a deep, deep decade. So when you look at The Exorcist, and you look at the fact this film was nominated for Best Picture for that year, 1973. That's remarkable for any year. I don't think that there has ever been a horror film that has gotten that much attention from the Oscars since. Okay. Now, I'm going to say this for anyone who is not subscribed to my channel. I would appreciate it if you would subscribe to The Godfather of Cinema. The Godfather of Cinema, movie reviews and more. And I would also appreciate if you give this video at the end, if you like it, a thumbs up or even a thumbs down. I still appreciate it. And leave a comment and hit the bell so that you won't miss any new videos if you like this one in the future. But yeah, man, I mean, The Exorcist was a absolutely incredible film. I mean, for that year, for this film to come out and get 10 Academy Award nominations is incredible. Absolutely incredible. But like I said, Ellen Burstyn, Jason Miller, and Linda Blair, they were relative unknowns when this film first came out. Now, as far as Max von Sydow, if you are familiar with Ingmar Bergman at all, that Max von Sydow was already an established actor before he starred in The Exorcist. Now, Max von Sydow plays Father Lancaster Murren in The Exorcist. Okay, now the films that you might be familiar with or you might not be familiar with under Ingmar Bergman are The Seventh Seal and The Virgin Spring, among others. He was a well-established actor before he was signed on to do The Exorcist. Also, Mr. Lee J Cobb. Now, Lee J Cobb did a number of films. Definitely, Ryan, definitely. Lee J Cobb did a number of films, but most notably, he played a mob-connected union boss in probably the best film ever made. In my opinion, I think this is the best film ever made. On the Waterfront, Elia Kazan, 1954, starring the greatest actor of all time, Mr. Marlon Brando. Definitely. So, Mr. Lee J Cobb, shout out to him, man. But he and Max von Sydow in The Exorcist were the only actors who really had already established themselves. Okay, now what The Exorcist is about, basically, just a basic synopsis, is that a major archaeological dig in northern Iraq unearths a small figurine of a Mesopotamian demon by the name of Pazuzu. Now, this occurs at the same time that a Georgetown actress by the name of Chris McNeil is going through a messy divorce, and her daughter is also experiencing a lot of depression because of the divorce and her father's abandonment. Particularly, her father forgets to call her on her birthday, and this results ultimately in Reagan, this is Chris's daughter, becoming possessed by the devil because of her father abandoning her. Now, the way that this film makes this list is because the main character of this film, whose name is Damien Karras, his name is Father. He's the psychiatrist of the local parish in Georgetown. The reason why this film made this list about faith is that Father Karras is dealing with a lot of doubt, because at the time that he's introduced, he is contemplating pulling out of the priesthood because he's lost his faith due to the fact that he has received a lot of education in the field of psychiatry on mental illnesses that have taken him away from believing in the supernatural and his faith, because everything that, like when you look at ancient times, especially in the Bible, the things that, people were, that were attributed to demonic possession in the Bible, today those things have names. Those things are diagnosed, as schizophrenia and various mental illnesses. So this guy is basically pulling out of the priesthood because he's lost his faith in the supernatural because of all his, background and education in psychiatry. And that is why I think that this film is basically a film just really about faith, and it's about how he loses his faith, but how he regains his faith, almost like Paradise Lost and Paradise Regained, almost. How he lost his faith. Well, when we're introduced to him, he's losing his faith, and by the time the film, the climax of the film, with the exorcism, he regains his faith because of things that he sees that goes outside of the things that he learned in college. So that's why I think this film is about faith. And this is a film about faith, essentially, and he really is the main character of the film. Hey, what's up, Stan? He say, I could have been a contender. I hear you, man. I hear you. Hey, man. Oh my God, great film, man. Great film, man. Great film. On the waterfront. Great film, man. The taxi cab scene. That, to me, hands down, that is probably the best scene of any film. Probably could have made this list, actually. If you look at it a certain way, I think that On the Waterfront probably could have made this list. Probably from the standpoint that I believe his name is not Kowalski. That's Streetcar. But anyway, man, y'all kind of get me off, man. Y'all kind of get me off track, man. Y'all kind of get me off track. I got to come back to this right here. We'll get to that in a minute. We'll get to that in a minute. As far as On the Waterfront. But yeah, I agree with you. The Exorcist is a very, very good movie. It's a very, very good movie. I mean, it's one of those movies that really stand the test of time also. Because it's been over, 50 years. Wow. 49 years. The Exorcist is 49 years old. Wow. That's incredible. 49 years old. Oh, Kate, wait a minute, hold up. Kate says she never seen On the Wall. You've never seen, you know what? I envy you. I envy you because you are in for a treat. You are in for a treat. That is an amazing, amazing film. On the Waterfront like I said, to me, I would say it is the best movie ever made. The best movie ever made. And that's a real hard, that's a real hard decision to make because there have been so many really great movies. If you just look at the whole history of cinema, there have been so many great, really great movies. You're talking about Vertigo, Citizen Kane, oh my God, man, Das Boot, Apocalypse Now. It's a film called Midnight Express with Brad Davis. Oh my God, man, there are some good movies out there, but I would still have to say East of Eden. Who's that? That's my boy, James Dean. Yeah, East of Eden. But when you think about the single greatest movie and greatest acting performance together, greatest movie and acting performance, hands down, On the Waterfront. Oh, definitely, Stan. Definitely. He made this film. Director William Friedkin made this film right after the French Connection. Yeah, oh yeah, definitely. And you know what? They have the same feel. As a matter of fact, I think that's why William Peter Blatty said that he wanted Friedkin for this movie. He wanted Friedkin for this movie because he really liked the style, that kind of documentary-like style, that gritty style of the French Connection, man. It had a real gritty style. It didn't look like your typical slick Hollywood movie. The actors didn't look like they were all coiffed and all made up and everything. It looked like you were looking at the streets, man. It looked gritty. That was a gritty movie, and I believe that William Peter Blatty said that's precisely why he wanted William Friedkin for the French Connection. He wanted him for that reason for The Exorcist, because of what he had done in the French Connection. Definitely. Let me get some more of these comments out here. Yeah, 49 years young, man. Yeah, noob, man, 49 years. wow, that movie's been out. And you think about how influential The Exorcist has been, man. How many sequels and variations of that film have we seen over the course of 49 years? Over the course of 49 years, you think, it's got to be about 200 or 300. If they aren't direct sequels or copycats, you've seen The Exorcist in films, in films that, as far as the elements that The Exorcist had, you've seen those elements in other films, man. That is definitely a watershed horror movie, man. Definitely. Let me get some more of these comments right here. Oh yeah, Carl Malden. Oh man. Oh, Carl Malden was bad, man. Oh, he was bad in On the Waterfront, man. Definitely. That was a great film. I also did an analysis on that film too, man. I also did an analysis on it, and I really wanted to give homage to Carl Malden, because Carl Malden was one of those character actors, and you really don't see actors like him really get the credit that they'll really do. Actors like him and Gene Hackman. Gene Hackman is also an A-list actor, but I'm talking about as far as an actor that's willing to take the back seat and to let another actor shine the way that Carl Malden took a back seat in that film to let Marlon Brando shine. And that wasn't the only film that they were in together. You know, they were also in this film right here together too, A Streetcar. You know, those same two. You know, under the same director, Elia Kazan. You know, so yeah, man. So I mean, yeah, man. I mean, Karl Malden, he really tore it up in that movie, man. Oh man, no problem about the spelling, man. I mean, I'm stumbling and fumbling here too, man. You know. I mean, you know, that's why I write. That's why I like to keep everything structured usually. You know, you know, because I mean, my spelling and all that is not perfect either, man. You know, we just right now we just chilling, man. You know, we just hanging out. You know, yeah. So I really appreciate you guys being here and spending this time with me. But let's go on with The Exorcist. We're gonna move on from The Exorcist now to my second film. I had a little analysis that I put together on The Exorcist, but I think I might have to save that for a dedicated film analysis, because I don't want to, you know, get too wrapped up in The Exorcist right now, because we got six more movies on the list that I want to recommend to you guys also. But yeah, my second film on this list, Films About Faith. Films About Faith is a 1942 American spy thriller by director Alfred Hitchcock called Saboteur. And this film stars Robert Cummings, Priscilla Lane. Now, this film is about a guy named Barry who was falsely accused of setting a bomb in an aircraft hangar, which results in one of his co-workers being killed. Now, Barry believes that he actually saw the guy who set the bomb off before it exploded. But the only problem is, he even knows the guy's name, you know, but the only problem is that all of the evidence incriminates Barry. So Barry becomes an outlaw, but at the same time, he has to try to find that guy that he saw prior to that explosion going off in that aircraft hangar. Now, this movie is amazing, man. Alfred Hitchcock, there was nobody like Alfred Hitchcock, man. When you talk about a true technician, this guy was awesome, man. And I mean, most people know him for his most popular movies, man, like North by Northwest, The Birds, Rear Window. Most people know him for Rear Window and Psycho. But I'm going to tell you, man, his best movies were movies that were kind of like off the radar, you know, not like, you know, the big glamour movies that most people know about, you know, like this film, Saboteur. You know, this film is amazing, man. This is an amazing film. Now, the reason why this film made this list, because this video is about films about faith. The reason why this film made this list is because, as I said, the main character, the protagonist in this film, is guilty. He's guilty if Hitchcock hadn't let you see the actual culprit behind the explosion. That's right. Hitchcock always lets you see at the very beginning of his films who the culprit is, because that's not what his sale is. You know, Hitchcock doesn't sell his films by you trying to figure out who did it. He'll let you know. He's so good that he'll let you know who did it. The fun of a Hitchcock movie is following the character, the protagonist of the film, who does not know who did it, and letting you follow that character, try to figure out and put the pieces together as to how as to whatever the crime is. And usually in a Hitchcock movie, that crime is usually going to be murder, because Hitchcock was obsessed with murder. He was obsessed with murder. If you look at his films, all of his films, the best horror. Oh, hold up. Let me get this comment by Noob. The best horror movie. Oh man, definitely, man, definitely. This movie's been out 50 years. Hold up a minute. Let me go back. Let me step back a minute and go back to The Exorcist, because I want to really elaborate on what Noob's saying right here. Because it's something worth elaborating on. And I want to elaborate by asking this one simple question. What horror movie that's come out of Hollywood in the past 10 years that you believe is going to be around for the next 50 years? I can't think of many. I cannot think of many. Now, I'm going to tell you, it's one horror film that I really like. And like I said, man, this is a casual show. We're talking about films about faith. But I do want to elaborate on some of these comments out here, just out of respect, and appreciation for you guys for keeping my channel going. Okay. But I'm going to tell you, man, now I was just about to say that, Noob. I was just about to say the original Conjuring. That's one. And it's another one by a director. I forgot his name. I believe his name is Brian Glazer. And the film is called Under the Skin. And it has Scarlett Johansson in it. I don't know if any of you guys have seen Under the Skin. I'm pretty sure you have. If you have, you'll concur with me. That's a pretty awesome, unique film that I think could be around in 40, 50 years, like The Exorcist. It's original, Now, Kate, I have not seen The Night of the Hunter. So thanks for this recommendation. After I leave here, you better believe I am going to be on HBO Max looking up Night of the Hunter. I have not seen that film. I have not seen Night of the Hunter. I have not seen it. So I'm always looking out for a good recommendation. Possession. Huh. You told me about Possession. I'm going to have to check it out, man. Coming from you, I'm pretty sure it's pretty good, man. Coming from you. I'm going to have to check it out, definitely. Man, I'm going to tell you, man, I'm really kind of horror deprived here, because horror is really not my thing, and the reason being is that it's really not a lot of good horror films that come out. It's not that I don't like horror, it's the fact that there's not a lot of good quality horror out. But when it comes out, like who mentioned The Conjuring? Who that meant? New Brain just mentioned The Conjuring. That movie is exceptional. The Conjuring, I love The Conjuring. I love Annabelle. I love me some Annabelle. And there was one that came out recently called, I believe it's called Malignant, I believe. About the young lady who has like a parasite growing out the back of her head. The back of her head or something. I mean, that's a good one. I like that. But I'm talking about 50 years from now. And we're talking about a movie that got 10 Academy Awards nominations, 3 nominations in the acting category. I mean, let's put this in perspective. There are some good horror movies out there. But to me, The Exorcist transcended horror, because it could easily be classified as a thriller. As a strict thriller. You could strip the horror off of it. Really it's not a horror film. It's more like a psychological horror film. And a psychological horror film that was informed by quite a few experts in that field. When Mr. Blatty was actually researching that book, he got a lot of input from a lot of experts in the Catholic Church, people who had actually, because the Exorcist is actually based on a real life exorcism that took place in my hometown, St. Louis, Missouri. So I mean, he really. Which one is that, Noob? Would that be Under the Skin? I better get moving with this. Let me move forward a little bit with this. Now at the time we were on Saboteur, and I was explaining why Saboteur made the list of the films that I chose that are about faith. Now the reason why Saboteur is about faith, I believe, and it belongs on this list, is due to the fact that the protagonist of this film is, if you hadn't seen the perpetrator, the guy who actually set this bomb off in this aircraft hangar, you would say that the protagonist, whose name is Barry, did it. Okay? Because all of the evidence incriminates him. Everything incriminates this guy. But there's one person in this film that believes him. One person. And that person happens to be a blind man. And I know you've heard the verse in the Bible which says that we walk by faith and not by sight. So in this film, the faith is not having any evidence to exonerate the protagonist. In other words, everything incriminates him, but yet a blind man, a man who does not even who cannot even see the protagonist, who can't even look into his eyes, automatically believes in his innocence. Automatically. And that's what faith is. Faith is the absence of evidence, the absence of proof, which goes back to the Exorcist. Because what gave Damien Karras his faith back was not things that he saw. Because remember, he was always looking for something that he could access through his senses, and he never got it. He never got that, and that's why he had that doubt. But that's also what brought him back, is the fact that he saw things that went outside of his educational background. Okay? So that's why Saboteur makes this list. Saboteur makes this list because it takes faith to believe in something that you can't see. And in this film, you cannot see. If you hadn't seen the aircraft hangar being blown up, you cannot see this guy being innocent, because he looks guilty as hell, except that Alfred Hitchcock allows us to be able to see the crime and the perpetrator. That's why we know what the blind guy don't know, and yet still he buys into this guy's innocence. Now let's move on to the next film, but before we do, I want to answer some more of these. Oh man, we got some stuff here. Okay. What's up? Well, hey, what's up, Ryan, man? What's up, Ryan? Okay, man. Thanks for that, man. Thanks for that. Thanks. I appreciate that, man. I'm gonna stay on target, man. Thanks. I appreciate it, man. This is my first live stream, so I hope that you guys kind of can forgive me for some of the. I'm a little nervous right now too, doing this. Like I said, I'm used to outlining everything that I do, and but I just felt like I wanted to change the pace to kind of interact with you guys and let you guys know how much I really appreciate each and every one of you who have subscribed to my channel and who support my videos. So I'm definitely going to improve as I get more experience at this and get more of these under my belt. But for right now, you know, we're just going to take it easy tonight. But thanks for that, Ryan. I appreciate that, man. I really appreciate it. But we're going to move on to my next movie on this list of films about faith. And that film came out in 1938. It's called The Lady Vanishes, and it's directed by you-know-who, Mr. Alfred Hitchcock. That film stars Michael Redgrave, Margaret Lockwood, and Dame May Whitty. And the reason, now, I'm going to give you a synopsis of this film. This film occurs on a train, on a transcontinental train going across Europe, traveling across Europe, and there's these two women, right? One of these women happens to vanish. Vanish, not literally, but she happens to disappear and leaves behind no evidence or witnesses to the fact that she was on this train at all, except the young woman who was with her, her traveling companion, whose name is Iris, played by Mrs. Margaret Lockwood. Now, that film is on this list because of the fact that there are no witnesses whatsoever to the fact that this lady was even on the train or that she even exists. No one saw her except Iris. And there's no evidence, nothing, that she was on this train. Okay? Now, I'm going to kind of spoil it a little bit. Well, no, I don't want to spoil it because these are recommendations. I want you to see these films. Now, the reason why this film is about faith is like what I just said. No one saw this woman on this train except this one female named Iris, and yet and still she has to maintain her conviction that this lady was on her train. Now, that takes a lot of faith, you know, to believe in something that you cannot find anyone else to co-sign. But she does find a guy who she happens to becoming romantically entangled with on this train, and he believes her despite the fact that he should be with the other people as far as not believing her because she cannot produce for him any evidence. So that is how this film makes this list, The Lady Vanishes. And this film, as I said, came out in 1938. This was before, I think this is one of the films that he made. This is an all British cast. This film was made before he came to America and did his more popular films like North by Northwest, Psycho, The Birds, Rear Window, Dial M for Murder. But this film was way before those films. And so with that being said, you know, this film looks very, very old as far as the actual film itself, unless you get a Criterion, which is something that I would really strongly suggest. Go with Criterion if you're going to get The Lady Vanishes, you know. But this is one of the most well constructed films I've ever seen, man. It's one of the most well constructed films ever made, The Lady Vanishes. And there is Mr. Michael Redgrave and Miss Lockwood. And this is Miss Dame May Whitty. But this is a very, very, very well put together film. Very well put together film. And like I said, it's not one of these films where you're going to see a lot of action. You know, really the I guess the action is in looking at how all of the disparate pieces of the puzzle pieces that he lays out at the very beginning of the film come together towards the middle of the film. And that's the thing I love about the Lady Vanishes and Alfred Hitchcock's early films, is that they all start out the same way. They start out with all of these seemingly unrelated elements being thrown at you. You know, you're kind of like, hey, what's going on? And you don't even have to think about it. The film just kind of comes together. His films just kind of come together by themselves. The pieces just kind of lock together by themselves. You know, that's how this film is. That's the way it's put together. But that's why this film made this list, and that's why it's a film about faith, because there's absolutely nothing whatsoever unless you saw the woman that Iris was with, her traveling companion, you wouldn't believe that she was actually with anybody either, because there's absolutely no evidence whatsoever. Like I said, this is a mystery thriller, but it's really like a spy thriller. You know, it's more, you know, it's categorized as a mystery thriller, but it's really like a spy thriller. It's a very, very good movie. I would strongly recommend that you see it. And let me get some of these. Hey, what's up, noob? Hey, man, happy Easter to you. And thanks for stopping by. I really appreciate it. God bless you, man. God bless you. And be safe. Thank you. Thanks, Stan. I really appreciate that. I really appreciate that. Thanks. I really, really appreciate that. I've never heard of this one, man. You say Haka Matata? Now, who is that? I'm kind of getting... Oh, now you know what? I heard the remake. I heard of the remake, but I've never seen it, man. I have not seen the remake of A Lady Vanishes. I haven't seen it. I don't know if I really want to see it. You know, for the same reason that they had a remake a couple of years ago of The Shining. I think it has Ewan McGregor in it, and I really don't want to see that because, I mean, how do you remake a Stanley Kubrick film? You know, how do you remake a Stanley Kubrick film? That's almost sacrosanct. I mean, you cannot touch Stanley Kubrick, man. You can't touch a Stanley Kubrick film, you know. So, oh, okay, y'all talking about The Lion King. Okay. Look, let me move on to my next film here. My next film is a 1972 British thriller, and it's called Frenzy, and it's also by Mr. Alfred Hitchcock. And this film stars John Finch. This film stars Mr. John Finch. There's John Finch there. And this film stars Alec McCowan, Barry Foster, Barbara Leigh Hunt, and Miss Anna Massey. And you probably know her also from Michael Powell's film, Peeping Tom. Great film, also a great film. But Frenzy was Hitchcock's penultimate film, or his next to last film. And looking at this film, you wouldn't know it. But what I like about Frenzy and the style of this movie was that you could see Mr. Hitchcock turning a corner as far as his style. And when I say that, what I mean is that like Stanley Kubrick, after he did Doctor Strangelove or How I Learned to Love the Bomb, I believe that's the subtitle of it. His films took a drastic turn, beginning with 2001: A Space Odyssey. And in the respect that his films began to reflect the times that it was made in. Because you got to remember, 2001: A Space Odyssey was made in 1968, which was probably the most turbulent decade socially in America at that time, and also the world. Well, Frenzy came out in 1972, and it had that same type of energy about it. And when I say that, what I mean is that all of Hitchcock's films prior to Frenzy, Hitchcock always left the actual crime to the imagination of the viewer. Hitchcock never really showed you murder, even though I would say 80% of his movies that I have seen had something to do with murder. Like I say, he was obsessed with murder. But Frenzy was the first film where Hitchcock actually showed murder in a graphic way, because there's a rape murder scene in this film. But before I go any further, let me give a synopsis. Let me give a little short synopsis of Frenzy first. In Frenzy, there's a guy by the name of Richard Blaney. And this guy is recently discharged from the Air Force, who's accused of murdering his ex-wife after losing his job as a bartender. Because that's how the film starts, with him losing his job as a bartender. And from there, everything kind of goes downhill for Richard. His friend, who is the actual murderer, approaches him with a hot tip on a horse, and instead of putting some money down on it, Richard, he passes on it, and later the horse winds up winning, and then that just aggravates Richard even more, because he could have won thousands of dollars on a horse after losing his job. And so everything after that, it's almost like laying the groundwork for him being incriminated for the murder of his ex-wife, because everything that he says after losing his job as a bartender and after losing out on this bet comes back to incriminate him later, after his wife is raped, and his ex-wife is raped and murdered. Now, like I said earlier about the previous Hitchcock film, I believe that was Saboteur. Hitchcock always shows you who the perpetrator was, and in this film, the perpetrator happens to be Richard Blaney's best friend. He is the person who actually kills Richard Blaney's ex-wife, and Hitchcock shows you this. And like I said, this was the first film in which Hitchcock depicted the actual crime and graphically. Graphically. It's like he shows you everything, man. It's like today, this type of movie, with that scene, would probably be rated, I would say, at least a hard R. So for back then, that would have been like a NC rating. But you got to remember, this movie was done in Britain. This is a British film, so their rating system is not the same as ours. Their rating system is a lot more liberal than America's rating system. But if this film was done in America in 1972, this film would have been probably X rated. But it's contextual. It's not superfluous. It's necessary to the actual film and also it's contextual. It's not like he just did some gratuitously just to shock you. It's all necessary. But this is one of my favorite Hitchcock films. It has everything that all of his best movies has. It has mystery. It has humor in it. Believe it or not, there's a great deal of humor in it. And, it's engaging. It's a film that you really don't let go. You really don't find yourself daydreaming watching this film, because you are really in the shoes of the protagonist of this film, and that's Richard Blaney. So it's like you're using he's like your avatar throughout this whole film. And so, yeah, I did too, man. He was slick though. That guy was pretty slick though, man. And he played his role. He played his role perfectly. He played his role perfectly as Richard Blaney's best friend, because the last person that you would ever expect is the person that's closest to you. So he played his role, and plus, not only was he close to Richard, but he actually saw and heard all of the things that Richard had said up to his wife, up to murdering his wife. He knew that Richard was going to take the fall for everything, because Richard was incriminating himself. But the reason why this film made this list for me, and I really had to really look into the subtleties of this film. The reason why this film is a film about faith is because Richard Blaney happens to have a love interest in this. Well, she's not really a love interest. She is kind of like, they're kind of flirting, but she goes along with him, as far as his innocence, because, like I said, everything leading up to his wife's murder is incriminating towards him. But she is the only person that believes him, in spite of all of this damning evidence that's going against him. So that's why this film made that list. This is a very good film, and I would really recommend that you check it out if you haven't already seen it. If you want to get a look at what Hitchcock could have been throughout the 70s and maybe even the 80s, because of his age, he was up there. But what a Hitchcock film could have looked like in the 70s and in the early 80s, this film would give you a good indication of how those films could have looked going forward. Now, my next film on this list is a film that I don't think anybody's ever heard about. This film came out in 1977, and it is an American science fiction film. It's called Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and it's directed by Mr. Steven Spielberg. This film stars Richard Dreyfuss, Terry Garr, Melinda Dillon, and the great Francois Truffaut, who also directed one of my favorite films, The 400 Blows. Great film if you have not seen it. Now, this film... one second. This film is about a woman named, she's nicknamed the Nun. Well, hold up. Now, we Close Encounters 13. This film, now the premise of this film is that an electrical line worker by the name of Roy Neary loses his family after becoming obsessed with a UFO sighting. Now, it's obvious why this film is about faith, because no one believes this guy, and everybody thinks that this guy is crazy, because he becomes obsessed with this UFO sighting to the point to where he alienates everybody with it. He alienates his wife, his children, everybody with this sighting that he cannot even put into words, that he cannot even describe or anything, which is what faith is really about. Faith is the evidence of things not seen. It's something that you cannot describe. And so really this film is less about UFOs and more about what it is to fall in love and what falling in love is like. Because to me, the UFO aspect of Close Encounters of the Third Kind is really just the machine that moves it. It's really just a vehicle. It's really not what the film is about. The film is really about how two people from two different situations can be brought together. And that's really the theme of Close Encounters. If you really watch the film all the way throughout, it's about how two people or two situations and how people really come together. What brings people together. It usually takes a medium. It usually takes some kind of medium to bring anything together. And look at this. From this standpoint, he's an electrical line worker. So what he does, he brings things together. If you look at the way that Neri, who is the lead character in this movie, played by Richard Dreyfuss, Roy, how did he and I believe that's Terry Garr, how did they come together? They came together through her son, who led her up to that summit. That's how both of them met. So this film, the whole theme of this film is about things coming together. And that is why this film made this list, because you sometimes cannot describe or understand some of the things that make you feel the way that you feel. But the second most important thing that I got out of watching Close Encounters of the Third Kind that goes along with faith is vision, and the importance of being with people who share your vision. Because if you notice, his wife did not share his vision. His kids didn't share his vision. If you look at vision for a minute, that's what vision is. Vision is about faith because it's about something that you cannot see. And so his wife didn't have his vision. His kids didn't have his vision. It was someone else. Someone who he was married and she was in a totally different situation, and yet they both had the same vision. And that's really something that you can really take out of this film, and you can look at life, just in general, that you have to have someone with your vision in order to move forward in life. And what happened after they met each other and after they both got the same vision of Devil's Tower, that mountain, they both went up to the other side. So that's why this film made this list, and that's why it's about faith. Oh, definitely, man. Terry Garr was incredible in this film, man. She was incredible in this film. Definitely, man. Definitely. She was definitely incredible in this film. And let me get some more of these. Now you saying that this is now, Ryan? Do you think that Close Encounters of the Third Kind was Steven Spielberg's best movie? You know what? I'm gonna tell you, if that's what you're referring to with this comment about Close Encounters, I think I would probably have to agree with you. If that's what you're referring to on this comment, because I'm gonna tell you, man, it took years for me to really feel that to really feel that way, because Close Encounters really came off as more like a kiddie movie, like E.T. When I first saw E.T., I thought it was a good movie. I thought it was cute, and but I said, hey, this is like Close Encounters of the Third Kind. It's more like a kiddie movie, and that's because every time I saw Close Encounters, I always looked at Close Encounters, from the standpoint, okay, they talking about UFOs or whatever. They're talking about extraterrestrials and stuff. I'm really into that, by the way. But once I began to really look at the movie differently, and I'm gonna say what helped me is reading the script, and I got to see a lot of the nuances in the script, and I realized that they really wasn't that Steven Spielberg, he wrote the script. He wasn't really talking about UFOs at all. The UFOs, the UFO element of Close Encounters of the Third Kind was more or less like the metaphor of what he was really trying to address. And I think what he was really talking about is he was just talking about love. He was talking about love, and he was talking about not only love, but just having a vision. It don't have to be love, even though love is a part of it, because you can fall in, who can come up with the formula for what love is? Nobody can. So it's just like, you having let's say if you have a vision, you have something that you want to do in your life, and it seems illogical to everybody else. It seems crazy to everybody else, but it's like you have that vision. To me, that's what Close Encounters is really about. It's really about this guy just having a vision. It could have been anything. It didn't have to be UFOs. It could have just been a vision for anything. And his wife and his kids didn't have that vision. His wife didn't have it. That's why when they went up to the hill, he took them up to the hill to see what he saw. They couldn't see it. But you notice that when he took, I believe, Terry Garr up there, was that Terry Garr? Let me make sure I have that right. That Terry Garr. No, that wasn't Terry Garr. That was Melinda Dillon. When he took Melinda Dillon up there, when they went up there together, when they met up there together, they saw it. They had the same vision, and concurrently, they both came up with the tower at the same time. So when you look at what the metaphor of that is, it's just you have to have people in your life and in your camp and on your team that's got the same vision that you have. Because if they don't have the same vision that you have, they're going to think you crazy. The only people who think you crazy is people who don't have your vision. And if they don't have your vision, they're not supposed to be on your team. And that's what I think that Close Encounters of the Third Kind is talking about. And it's all, but the faith is the faith presence in this film is powerful, because remember, he was basically alienating his family, his wife, his kids on something that he couldn't even see. He couldn't even see the vision that he eventually got, and he was willing to. He was so obsessed with that vision that his nothing else mattered. So that's faith right there, man. Faith is when you can see something that is not evidence, something that you don't have any evidence for. He couldn't provide any evidence to his wife that he had saw a UFO, but yet he became so obsessed with something that he could not prove to anybody that he alienated everybody. Now that is what you call faith. So that's why this film really, really exemplifies faith, in my opinion. Yeah, I agree with you on that, Ryan, man. It is. Close Encounters is his ultimate love story. And even still to this day, that film came out in 1977. Man, that film came out in 1977, and when you still look at the how well this film still holds up, and is really a testament to the fact that it's not how much money you put up on the screen. It's about quality. It's about quality writing, because the writing is going to be timeless. That is a timeless movie. Look at the special effects in that movie. The special effects, I think what really gives the special effects in that movie, even though by the day's standard, the special effects in that movie are primitive, but by today's standard. But I think that the reason why it still resonates the way that it does is the context that it's set in, because it's not the film. It's not the film. It's just a metaphor. It's just an expression of what the film is actually about, which is the relationship between Roy Neary and Melinda Dillon's character. I forgot her name, but it's really an outward expression of their relationship. That's all it is. But that's why it still works, and that's why when you still get when I watch Close Encounters, I still get chill bumps. Not just when they show the mothership landed. Where I get my chill bumps is when Roy and Melinda's character, when they meet at that train depot. You know, when they are evacuating those people because of that chemical spill, that so-called chemical spill that's really like what they call that false flag chemical spill. When they meet at that depot and they come together and they embrace, to me, you could sit that scene next to the scene where the mothership touches down and they are identical, because that's what Close Encounters was about. It was about mankind making the connection with extraterrestrials, and it was also about this man and this woman somehow across space and time and just completely different worlds. They lived in two completely different worlds, and how they both came together in that train depot. That exemplified what Close Encounters was all about, in my opinion. But that's why this film made this list about films about faith. You know. Now, I've never seen that. That Brief Encounter. Wait a minute. I've never seen Brief Encounters, though, man. I've heard of Brief Encounters, but I've never seen it. Wait a minute. Brief Encounters. Wait a minute. Now, would Brief Encounters be that movie? It's an old movie, but it's the movie where this woman, she's married, I believe, and she has an affair with this guy. And I mean, I'm just trying to, I'm just really trying to, remember it. But am I along the right lines though? I forgot. I have that movie in my collection, man. I haven't seen that movie in years. But they are having an affair. That's why it's called A Brief Encounter. Okay, and she's married, and he isn't. I believe he's not married. But I believe she's married, and they just have this brief encounter, and I believe it's at a train station. Correct me if I'm wrong. If you're still there, Ryan, correct me. But anyway, yeah, that's why Close Encounters of the Third Kind is on this list, and that's why I think it's just a timeless movie, man. It's one of those films that really, when you think about Steven Spielberg as who he is today, that was one of the foundational films that really made him what he is. When Jaws, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and then E.T. I mean, when you think about those movies, man, those movies really cemented Stephen King as one of the greatest directors of all time. He just seemed to have that. He just seemed to have his hand on the pulse of what people wanted to see. And none of the films were dirty. Okay, all right, right on. Hey, Ryan, right on, man. Right on, man. I knew I had it, man. I knew. I haven't seen that movie. I haven't seen that film in years, man. But that is a bad movie, man. That movie hits you, man. That movie hits you, man. Just how they met and under the circumstances under which they met, man. It was like something that you knew it wasn't gonna last, man, but you did not want it to end, man. That is a good matter of fact, man. You just set up my movie list for this weekend. I'm gonna check that out. But but as far as comparing that to Close Encounters of the Third Kind, yes. I might even have to do a video, man, on films that are not like Close Encounters, right, on the surface, but movies that are like Close Encounters underneath the surface. I might do a video about that. I might have a list of films, because there are a lot of films that have that theme too, of people just being drawn together. Even some newer films. I could probably come up with. Let me see, man. It's some newer films. There's some great films being made today, man. There are some really good films being made today. But I just think that a lot of these films, that the good films are being overshadowed by too many of these superhero movies, and too many of these 4-hour special effect $300 million films. Which is really a shame, because you don't have the really well written films. There's really not really a place for a movie that's really well written anymore that much. It has to be written well enough to be a special, to be able to hang a lot of special effects on, because I don't know, man. I don't know. That's like a whole different video right there, man. But there are some good films out here, but you don't really see films of the caliber of Brief Encounters or Close Encounters or films of that nature. You don't really see them that much anymore. It's really a shame. And I like the big budget movies. I own a lot of Marvel movies. Most of them. But to me, just those movies just seem to be overshadowing the little small art house movies that I used to see coming out, like even around 2000 up to like 2010. You see a lot of art house movies coming out, and you can say what you will about Harvey Weinstein. Man, there was some good movies coming out under Miramax, man. This guy had a nose for movies. They had a nose for movies. If you just keep it strictly on movies, all the other stuff, but as far as movies, you really don't have, I think they're kind of getting pushed out. That's my opinion. I think that they're really being pushed out of cinema, to make place for these big $500 million movies and stuff. But let me get off of that. But let me get back to this. Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Fantastic film, y'all. Y'all need to check that out. If you haven't seen it, you definitely need to see it. You had to be under a rock not to see that movie, though. But if you haven't, I envy you. Fantastic movie. Now, the next movie on this list is a film that is one of my favorite films, actually. It's called The Lost Honor of Katarina Bloom, or it's subtitled How Violence Develops and Where It Can Lead. Now, this is one of my favorite movies, man. One of my favorite movies. It definitely belongs on this list too, and I'm going to explain. But this film is co-directed by Volker Schlondorf and Margaret von Trotta, and it stars Angela Winkler, who was also in another great film called The Tin Drum. She was also in a great film called The Tin Drum, and I would really recommend that you see that film, and she's excellent in it. This film also stars Mario Adorf. Now, Mario Adorf is a great actor. He's great in this film. He was also in The Tin Drum, and also under the direction of one of my favorite directors, Rainer Werner Fassbinder's Lola. Great actor. Great actor. Let me get these together. Also, this film stars Dieter Lesser, and it also stars Jürgen Prochnow. Now, this guy, he's good in this movie, right? His appearances is pretty limited in this movie. But if you have not seen Das Boot, get it any way you can. Steal it? No, don't steal it. Don't steal it. Don't steal it. I'm just joking. I'm just being facetious. But get Das Boot any way you can. If you're talking about, when people talk about Apocalypse Now and Full Metal Jacket and Platoon and Saving Private Ryan, when you leave Das Boot out of that list of elite war movies, as far as I'm concerned, you don't have a list. I mean, Das Boot is amazing, and even more amazing by the fact that it's a limited setting, for the most part, a limited setting film. We don't want to get off the subject though. Just check out Das Boot if you like. If you haven't seen it, check it out. But anyway, back to The Lost Honor of Katharina Bloom. Now, this film is about this woman. Her name is Katarina, of course, and she's nicknamed the Nun. She's nicknamed the Nun because she is very conservative and straight-laced, especially about sex. And this woman is falsely accused of aiding and abetting a criminal that she has sex with on the first date. And not even a date. She happened to be invited to a party, kind of like on the spur of the moment, and she met this guy and they had sex. And probably thinking, why is this a film about faith? This film is about faith because throughout the film, the police, just on the strength that she did this, cannot believe that she does not know this guy. And not that people don't do that type of thing, but this woman's reputation preceded her. That's why she was called the Nun. She was called the Nun, nicknamed the Nun, by her friends, because she was somebody who was, very, very tight. This woman was very prim, and proper. But she happened to fall in love. And so the film is about her trying to justify what happened between her and this gentleman. Not gentleman, but this criminal, right? Played by Jürgen Prochnow. And at the same time, she's trying to fight off, accusations, not only by the police, but that have made it to the media that she knows this guy. And this is, I don't want to give too much of it away, probably have already, but if I haven't, check out this movie. If not, just for the cinematography. The cinematography in this film is just drop dead gorgeous. It's by Jost Vacano. Jost Vacano is, let me get this. Let me get some of these right here. Hey, see it, man. See it. Check out Das Boot. If you don't check out a movie this weekend, please stream Das Boot. But it's a 4-hour movie. But I would not recommend a 4-hour movie to you if this movie wasn't good. This is a man. I mean, Das Boot, man. You know what? I'm gonna tell you, 80% of this movie takes place in a submarine. But I'm gonna tell you right now. By the time this film ends, you're gonna feel like you've been in that submarine pressure cooker with these. And matter of fact, it's a U-boat. It's a Nazi U-boat. Okay, and it's a German film, and I mean, if you were to just take it on its face and say, well, you know, watching this film, I mean, it's about Nazis. It's not about that. It's about human beings, man. You know, it's about these men who are in this U-boat trying to go underneath enemy lines, man, and just being in that U-boat with them, going through what they're going through in this U-boat with them, man. This is an incredible movie, man. One of the best war movies. I know I'm getting off, man. I know I'm getting off. Again. Hey, let me give a shout out to My Funk. Hey, My Funk. Hey, what's up? What's up? What's up? The 10 drum. Oh man, the 10 drum is bad, man. I'm telling you. We talking about Das Boot, but I'm gonna tell you, the 10 drum is one you definitely got to check out too, man. The 10 drum is amazing, man. I have it on Criterion. I've had this film for a number of years on Criterion, man. And as far as I'm concerned, that's the only way to go. I mean, you can stream it, but if you like me, there are some movies that I stream, very few. But when it comes down to a movie like Das Boot and what's the other one I was talking about? The Das Boot and the 10 Drum. Man, those are movies I gotta be able to hold that movie in my hand, man. I gotta own it. I got to own it. And it's got to be Criterion. Criterion only. Now Das Boot, if you get that on Blu-ray, that's as good as Criterion. I have Das Boot on Blu-ray, which is good as Criterion. Okay, but you said, what movie am I talking about right now? I'm sorry. Hey, Mex Giova. Hey, I'm sorry. I kind of got off topic here a little bit. Right now, I'm talking about the lost honor of Katarina Bloom. The Lost Honor of Katarina Bloom, but I kind of got sidetracked because I'm trying to get to some of you guys and I'm trying to respond to some of your comments and show you my appreciation for you guys supporting me and my channel. You know, so I'm gonna get back to that, but I also want to get to these comments too, and I want to be able to, you know, reach out to you guys and show you guys how much I respect and how much I really appreciate what you guys are doing in supporting me in this channel and my love of film, my love of cinema. You know, so right now we're talking about The Lost Honor of Katarina Bloom. That's on the list of films about faith, but right now we're talking about two films in particular. We're talking about, you know, out of the comments, we're talking about a film, a German World War II film called Das Boot, or The Boat. And we're talking about a movie, also a World War II movie. I guess you could say it's a World War II era film, a period film, even though it wasn't made then. It was made like in the 70s, called The 10 Drum. I mean, you know what? And you know what? Speaking on the 10 Drum, I am going to, hey man, right on, Ryan. Speaking on the 10 Drum, though, I'm going to come up with some lists of recommendations here, and I'm going to theme the list, man, because the 10 Drum is one of those movies, man. It's almost like, I'm not gonna say like Takashi Miike. If any of you guys heard of this Japanese director? His name is Takashi Miike. He did Ichi the Killer and Fudo, The Last Generation and whatnot. You know, the 10 Drum is kind of like, I mean, even though it's, I would say, not, it ain't, it's weird, I mean, it's weird as hell, man. You know, about, you know, basically it's about this boy that falls down these steps. He says, I never want to grow up, right? I think he's like 4 or 5 years old. So he falls down these steps and he never grows up. He never grows up. I mean, inside he grows up. He becomes a man internally, but physically he remains a 5-year-old all through the movie. Man, that movie is, I think, like 5 years old. That movie is heavy as hell, man. I mean, if you have not seen The Tin Drum, I would definitely recommend it. Just don't watch it with somebody who is not a film lover, because I'm gonna tell you, the worst thing in the world is to open up a good bottle of vintage, and to waste it, to pour it out. And that's what you'll be doing if you watch The Tin Drum or Das Boot with somebody who's not really into film. If they are just into mainstream film, if you choose to watch it with somebody, don't watch it with them. Watch it by yourself. It's just like 2001. If I'm watching 2001, I got to watch 2001: A Space Odyssey by myself. Because if I'm watching 2000: Space Odyssey, I'm not eating. I'm not getting up taking popcorn breaks. I might get up and use pay a water bill. But as far as talking and all that, to me, watching 2001, to me, is like church service. It's like church service. It's like being in church. It's like being in church, literally. So I don't want to watch a film like that with nobody. If you watch The Tin Drum, I'm going to get back to these movies in a minute, y'all. I mean, if you're new, if you're just getting here, we're talking about films about faith, but I'm in the process of trying to interact a little bit with with you guys, with with the people who are kind enough to come here and to share this video with me. I'm trying to interact with you guys at the same time. So we're kind of casual. So it's a little casual here. It's not as structured and as rigid as I normally am when I'm doing my film analysis. So I mean, if you watch The Tin Drum or Das Boot, don't watch it with anybody. Watch it by yourself. And it's just like this film here, The Lost Honor of Katarina Bloom. Don't watch it with anybody who's not into film. If they love film like I love film, you can watch it with them and you can enjoy it, because they're not going to ruin it for you. They're not going to be talking. And you know how we are now. We want a blow by blow. Before we watch the movie, we asking somebody, hey, what's going to happen next? What's going on? Well, you sitting here like me. Why don't you just sit down and just enjoy this experience? Because these films are experiences. You have movies. You have a movie. I can go and I can see Spider-Man. I mean, that's a movie. I can talk a little bit. I can chit chat. I can get up and go and be some popcorn. But if you watching a film like these two guys back here, watch it either by yourself or with someone like me who loves film. Now let's move on. Like I said, Lost Honor of Katarina Bloom. I mean, wow, that movie has some cinematography. Jost Vacano, Vacano. Josh Vacano. He also did cinematography, I believe, on under director Paul Verhoeven. And I also plan to do a video on the films of Paul Verhoeven, not RoboCop, not Basic Instinct, not Showgirls, not Starship Troopers or Total Recall, but on Paul Verhoeven's Dutch films. Okay? His Dutch films. Paul Verhoeven is a hell of a director. One of the most underrated directors. I mean, when you talking about the greatest directors ever, I would put Paul Verhoeven in my top. I would put him in my top 20. So I do plan on doing some films by Paul Verhoeven, but I was just mentioning him to say that the cinematographer of The Lost Honor of Katharina Bloom, another film that I'd recommend as a film about faith, is Mr. Josh Vacano, and he also did cinematography under Paul Verhoeven on a number of Paul Verhoeven's films. He and another cinematographer by the name of Jan de Bont. Jan de Bont went on to direct, I believe, Keanu Reeves' breakout film Speed. I think that Jan de Bont, he also was the cinematographer on Das Boot, I believe. I believe Jan de Bont was the cinematographer. Now I'm pretty sure that one of you guys can correct me on that. Okay, well, hold up. This is It Kicks In. How do I watch movies most? It Kicks In, I'm going to tell you, man, I watch movies any way I can, man. Like I say, I own my personal collection between me and you. I probably own about probably about 2,000 movies, man. You know, and so I watch movies. I stream movies. You know, I stream movies, and I watch movies off of course I have, what's that, Amazon Prime. Amazon Prime is great, man. That's a real value, man. I mean, not trying to, well, I guess I did plug them, but I also want to help you guys out if y'all looking for a good inexpensive way to be able to see a lot of the movies that I've spoken of tonight and some that I'm going to speak about in future videos. Amazon Prime is a deal. That's a big deal. I mean, thank God, man, that you had these platforms, man, that came in, man, and just completely eliminated the use for cable TV and satellite, man. That was just a big ripoff. You know, now I can get the movie I want to see. I don't have to sit back and look at a schedule and say, okay, when do they want to show me a good movie? And then not only that, but where can you see the Tin Drum or Das Boot on cable? You know, they don't even show those type of movies. You know, they show all a rotation. They show the new movies. They just keep rotating them back and forth. So I see. So to answer your question, man, I know I'm digressing a little bit. It Kicks In. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right properly. But to answer your question, I get these movies any way I can, man. But I'm real picky. I would say finicky when it comes down to my time now. You know, because I'm an older man, so I don't have time to waste on bad movies, and I don't have time to waste on experimenting too much. So I go. So, hey, right on, hey Ryan. Hey man, thanks, man. I appreciate it. God bless you. I hope you have a great holiday weekend up there in Ireland, man. Thank you very much from the Godfather. I love you. You have a good night, man. All right. No, I don't rip anything. I buy all my stuff. That's why I'm broke. I'm not gonna lie, I'm broke, man. I got broke buying movies, man. I mean, I've been buying movies for decades, man. It's like a passion of mine. I mean, it was something that I used to before I began to appreciate the fact that film is an art form, just like painting or just like music. It was something I used to be ashamed of. I mean, I used to buy movies and I said, man, why am I buying movies? You know, why am I buying movies? You know, I mean, it seemed like, you know, especially when you listen to people, when people telling you, I mean, you just watch movies. And I realized that it's an art form, man. I mean, film is a medium, just like it's just another artistic medium, just like music, just like painting, sculpture, anything else. I mean, you have McDonald's, you know, you have movies that are like McDonald's, and then you have movies that are like a good cut of steak, of film, So, I mean, once I got over being ashamed of the fact that I love film the way I do, then that's when, I started spending all the money that I had on film, and it's just my thing, It's just like riding like Tony Hawk on a skateboard or something. It's like everyone has their thing, and film is my thing. Hey man, I think they are. I mean, they are. It's empty calories. Empty calories. I mean, they are made for mass consumption. They are designed for mass consumption. They are designed to. I mean, when you look at the demographic, the range is like what, from like 9 years old to 35 or something like that. I mean, but look at the range. I mean, you're looking at a movie that a 9-year-old can relate to, or 8-year-old can relate to. Marvel movies are made like that. I mean, Marvel movies are really designed like that. They're designed to make a lot of money. I mean, and I don't blame them. I mean, when you're putting 150, 200 million dollars into a movie, you want a return. You don't want to make an art house movie, which is what Denis Villeneuve did with Blade Runner 2049. He basically made an art house movie when he made Blade Runner 2049, and he did the same. He came back and said he was upset by the fact that the movie didn't make as much or didn't do as well at the box office as he would have liked. But then he came out and did another art house movie in Dune. And when I say art house, I'm not saying that disparagingly. I'm saying that in a good way. It's a very, very. Blade Runner 2049 and Dune are. That's film. That's when you justify. When you look at justifying spending that money. If you're gonna have quality writing like that, this quality all the way around. Acting, writing, and everything. That's the way you would spend it in an ideal world. But we talking about a capitalistic society that we're in, and the fact that you're looking for a return. That's not the way to make a film that you expect a return on. To spend $200 million on a film. And expect to, and on a film that's that intelligent and that sophisticated, you're not going to get it. So it can't be too sophisticated, or else it's not going to be something that an 8 or 9-year-old can go in and enjoy or be able to identify with. So it has to have that demographic. How the hell we get here? Anyway. So anyway, I was talking about, the difference between a McDonald movie, what I characterize as a McDonald type movie, and a film that is quality. And the difference between a movie and a film. That's what I would think of difference between a movie and a film is. I mean, a movie, it don't matter when you come in. I mean, I went to movies and you have people walk in 30 minutes into the movie and sit down. I'm like, what's the point? You just missed the first 30 minutes. Well, that's a movie. If you're going to sit down and watch something like The Lost Honor, like the movie I have here on this list of films about faith, The Lost Honor of Katharina Bloom, you got to be there from the opening credits. Because if you walk in 30 minutes after the film starts thinking that you're going to follow that film, you might as well go home. You just wasted your money. So that's the difference between a film and a movie as far as The Godfather is concerned. But let's move on. We did The Lost Honor of Katharina Bloom. And the last film on this list is a 2005 French film called La Moustache, or The Mustache. It's directed by Emmanuel Carrère. Carrère, I believe Carrère. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Emmanuel Carrère. And this film stars Vincent Lindon, Emmanuel DeVos, and Matthew Amalric. And I'm pretty sure you recognize his face. You know, he's in a number of good films. A great actor. Two films that come to mind right off the top of my head: a film that Steven Spielberg did about, I guess, 8 years ago called Munich. Yeah, he was in Munich. And he was also in one of the Bond films, but he's also a serious actor. I think he was in a Pedro Almodovar film, if I'm not mistaken. Who's another director that I plan on doing here, Pedro Almodovar. He's one of the best directors in the world, man. I would say up there with Inarritu Gonzalez. But I think he was in a Pedro Almodovar film. I can't really put my finger on it at this point. But this film, the music of this film was scored by this guy. His name is Philip Glass, and this guy's an incredible composer. He also scored. Let me get a couple of these, but I want to talk while I'm getting these. Excuse me, Francisco, 1 second. But Philip Glass also did two films. It was a film that Mr. Terrence McGuana mentioned. It's a film I recommended to him actually. It's called Mishima, Life in 4 Chapters. And he also scored a film called Koyaanisqatsi. I don't know if you've heard of that film or not. Koyaanisqatsi. Great film score by Mr. Philip Glass. Now, Francisco, man, I'm going to tell you, man, those movies are made for cheap consumption. You figure those movies are good now, okay? But it's very few big budget special effect movies that are going to be around in 20 years. And I'm going to tell you why. The reason being is that special effects are getting better and better. Now, you figure that, and exponentially so now, whereas it took 10 years for James Cameron to go from special effects that were in Titanic to Avatar, from 10 years, now it would only take like 6 years to make that same leap as far as technology, as far as the way that the special effects come across on the screen. And those little intervals are getting shorter and shorter. So what's going to happen with most of these big budget special effect movies, if they are not well written, is that in a few years, those films are going to be in the $2.99 bargain bin. Believe me, because the first thing that people are going to say when they look at a film, and I can think of a few. I hate to say this because it's some people that really swear by this film, man. Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters, man. I'm gonna tell you, man. To me, Ghostbusters did not age well. Man. I mean, the special effects of that movie were good for the time that it was in. And I don't know, I guess it really launched the career of Sigourney Weaver. But to me, that, here's another one, The Fast and the Furious. Okay? The Fast and the Furious. I mean, that film there, man. I mean, the original was good. But the other ones, I mean, to me, come on, man. Come on. You talking about a car jumping out of, jumping out. How do you get a car inside of a skyscraper? And make the car jump from one skyscraper to the next, man. Come on, man. And somebody would actually pay to go and see that, you know. But hey, what's up, DM? Hey, I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. Thanks a lot, man. I just wanted to do something a little different here. I just wanted to kind of, hang out with you guys and, kind of get from behind the keyboard and just interact with you guys in real time and let you guys know how much I really appreciate your support and the love that you have shown my videos and my channel, for the time that I've been up here, I'm trying to get all these comments. What is my opinion of the cyberpunk? Oh man! So, now I'm planning on doing a video on cyberpunk also because I'm a big Japanese anime fan, huge Japanese anime fan, and I'm also a big fan of Mr. Terry Gilliam. Now Terry Gilliam, in my opinion, is one of the best cyberpunk directors out there, especially the 12 Monkeys in Brazil. Oh my God, those are two great examples of cyberpunk. And also, he also did a movie about 6 years ago about 6 or 7 years ago called the Zero Theorem. It's called the Zero Theorem. And that is one of the best examples, in my opinion, of cyberpunk ever put to film, and that is a great film. But yeah, I do plan on. I love cyberpunk, man. I mean, of course, Blade Runner 1 and 2. Those films are really like when you talk about cyberpunk, along with Alien. I don't really know about Aliens. I would say Aliens too. But Alien especially. Alien really has that cyberpunk, that dirty, industrial look. Where the tech is tech in there, but it's kind of like it has like that grimy type of ghetto type of clash of you know what I mean. That's what cyberpunk is to me. And so yeah, I love cyberpunk, man. I love cyberpunk. I wish that well, I plan on doing my part to get people hip to the fact that America's not the only country that does cyberpunk. I mean, them Japanese, man, especially in anime. I mean, when you talk about Akira, Ghost in the Shell, I mean, in some ways, man, their cyberpunk is better than ours, man, because it's I think it's culturally too, because you get away with doing more and showing more in Japan than you can in American films, as far as cyberpunk is concerned. But I think that I would like to introduce people who are not familiar with anime, especially cyberpunk anime. That's what I plan on doing on my channel and my videos going forward. So I'm glad that you asked me that question. And I want to ask DM. Hey DM, what's up, man? Hey, look, a ma'am, a sir, or a ma'am. I don't know, but hey, I appreciate the fact that you support me, man. And I love doing this work. I mean, really, I love doing it, man. I mean, it's, I love it, man. It's fun, man. It's fun. I finally got a way to kind of sublimate the time that I spend watching on the couch, man, because I was starting to get kind of worried about that. I'm like, hey, man, you sitting up here, you just watching movies, wasting your life away. I said, okay, well, let's think of a way in which we could sublimate this. Let's think about a way in which we could channel this into something that can be productive and something in which I can actually be able to engage with other people. And I thank God for this YouTube format, because now I'm getting to do that. Now I have the chance to actually do that, So I appreciate the diving bell and the butterfly. I've heard of that. I've heard of the diving bell and the butterfly, but I haven't seen it. Yep, I agree with you, man. No thinking required, man. No thinking required on these movies now, and it's getting worse. It's getting worse. I mean, you know what? Now I'm gonna tell you. Hey, thanks, Sid. I appreciate it, man. Thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate you stopping by, and God bless you. I look forward to interacting with you again, man. But I think it's getting worse, because, as you see these movies come out, these big, huge budget movies like Avatar, the Avatar sequels I heard cost $1 billion. I think there are like 4 sequels, but $1 billion, man. I mean, I think that it's going to be harder for the little, smaller budget movies to get made because these movies are eating up all of the real estate in the theaters. I mean, you're not going to preempt a movie like Avatar to show an art house movie. And then you don't really have the mom and pop theaters that you used to have because of the pandemic. A lot of the mom and pop theaters went out of business. We had a number of mom and pop theaters in my city go out of business. And that was really those were really the only places where you can go to really see this little small independent, more intelligent films, rather than the big budget films that are designed to make $2 billion in each movie. They're trying to one up each other. Now Avengers, and now Avatar, they took it back. Now Avatar 3, 4, and 8 coming out and all this stuff, man. So I mean, I just think it's getting worse. I think, and I like those movies. I love Avatar. But I think there should be a place for the little smaller movies that play to a older, more sophisticated demographic too. That's what I think. No, I never study film, man. It's just, I know where I study on the couch. That's where I study, on the couch, man. Oh, Cyber City Oedo, man, Midnight Eye. Man, here's my thing. What happened to Yoshiaki Kawajiri? His last film, I believe, was Yoshiaki Kawajiri, because he also did Wicked City and Ninja Scroll. His last film, I believe, was Highlander. But I think he's retired, man. I think that Yoshiaki Kawajiri, he did Cyber City Oedo. That's wild. If you have not seen, if you want to get an idea of what I meant when I said that when anything animated in America, as far as our culture, we look at it as a cartoon. See, we're taught to think that if it's cell animated, it's a cartoon. Even if it's computer animated, over in this culture, we are trained, conditioned to think that that's for kids. But in Japan, they don't feel that way. I mean, you see middle-aged men on buses, on subway trains, man, reading manga, which is like we call comic books or graphic novels, or the more dignified expression. We call them graphic novels. Over there, they call them manga. And so you see middle-aged men and women reading manga like it ain't nothing over there, And over here we call them cartoons. So really what it does is it creates a bias to where a person won't even consider it. Once you say this, they say, oh, that's for kiddie. Man, Cyber City Oedo is not for kids. Cyber City Oedo is not for kids. That is one of the wildest, most beautifully drawn old school anime. The old school, they didn't have a fluid motion because, they had a lower frame rate, I guess. So, but I'm talking about as far as beautiful, as far as the way that the old comic books looked. I mean, the great artists, the great comic book artists that I grew up with, like Frank Miller and John Byrne and artists like that, Jim Lee. I mean, that's what Cyber City Oedo looks like. That's a great anime, man. I'm glad you put that up there. Right on. It kicks it, man. Right on. I appreciate that. Thank you. And you say, now this Max Giova, my favorite decade for film. I mean, that is, look, before I go, hold it right there. Just hold that thought. Hold that thought. I want to finish this synopsis up on this film, Le Moustache. Now, Le Moustache, if y'all can remember how long it's been since I mentioned it, since I mentioned it, but La Moustache is a French film. Like I said, it's a 2005 French film directed by Emmanuel Carrère, and this film stars Vincent London, Emmanuel DeVos, and Matthew Almeric, and with music by Philip Glass. And just a basic synopsis of this film is it starts off with this middle-aged guy named Mark. Now, if you can imagine this, I mean, this is not the film, but this is the premise of this film. Imagine all your adult life. Let's say you had hair to come all the way down to your waist, down to your knees. All your adult life. Everyone who's ever seen you has seen you this way. One day, you decide to cut all your hair off. Next day you come out, nobody notices. Nobody notices or gives you any reaction that you were any different than you were the day before you cut your hair. That's the premise of La Moustache. It's a guy by the name of Mark who happens to ask his wife, just casually, I mean, how do you think I look without a mustache? And she, you've always had a mustache. I can't even imagine you without a mustache. He cuts the mustache off. She does not even notice that that he cut that mustache off. In fact, nobody. And he had the mustache throughout their marriage. They've been married for years, I believe 14 years, and he's never cut this mustache off. And yet and still, she doesn't notice it. None of their friends notice it. None of the places that he normally frequents notices the fact that he cut this mustache off. Nobody. So this is like an existential film about faith. Can you maintain your belief or your reality if no one else if you don't have anybody else to validate that reality? Anyone else to authenticate that reality? Can you still believe in it? Man, that's about all I'm going to say about this movie as far as that plot, but you got to see it. You know what I love best about this film? It's only 1 hour and 25 minutes. That's the way it should be. Because I don't know about you guys, but I'm kind of getting tired of these movies that come in at a minimum of 2 hours and 45 minutes. Or we got a 4-hour movie, Snyder Cut or something. You don't need to be that long to tell a good story. I mean, Alfred Hitchcock only had probably 1 or 2 movies that were 2 hours, or right at scratching 2 hours. You don't need 4 hours to tell a story. Come on. You don't need that. This movie is 1 hour and 25 minutes, pure entertainment. Pure entertainment. This is a deep movie. I would say along the lines, even though they are 2 different movies, this is one of these movies that makes you think, is deep. I would compare it with a film that I saw by Spike Jonze called Being John Malkovich. I would say that this movie is like that in the way that it kind of messes with your head. Because that this guy had a mustache. Because you saw him cut it off and you saw his wife interacting with him with the mustache. Yet after he cut it, not only does she not notice that he cut the mustache off, but she even denies the fact that he ever had a mustache at all. So hopefully that whet your appetite to check one of these movies out. But the movies out that I recommended tonight, I recommend it. But this is a fantastic movie right here, and I just want to give everybody who came in a little later rundown of the films that I covered on this list of movies about faith. I covered The Exorcist. I covered three Alfred Hitchcock films. I covered Saboteur, The Lady Vanishes, and Frenzy. I covered Close Encounters of the Third Kind by Steven Spielberg. I covered The Lost Honor of Katharina Bloom by, I'm going to have to look at this one because these names, Volker Schlondorf and Margaret von Trotter. And I also covered La Moustache by Emmanuel Carrère. Those are the films that I covered. I want to answer some more of these questions before I sign off from you guys, but I want to answer all of these comments. My opinion on Berserk and One Piece, man, I've heard of Berserk and One Piece, have not seen them. I'm sorry, I have not seen them. But I have seen a couple of new, really good new anime. There's one called it's called I believe You. I forgot the name of it. I believe it's called You. And I forgot the name of this film, man. It's a really good film. But yeah, I mean, Hayao Miyazaki's films. I love his films. Katsuhiro Otomo. I think he's overrated. He only did one good movie, Akira, back in 1988. I mean, he did Steamboat. Steamboat was a hot mess. That was a hot Victorian steampunk mess. Steamboy, a waste of good art and good animation, in my opinion, because it had a bad script, bad story. Otomo really blew that one. As far as, let me see, good series, Full Metal Alchemist, The Ultimate, Neon Genesis Evangelion. Man, that's the holy grail right there. Neon Genesis Evangelion. And then some of the old streamline anime like, let me see, Vampire Hunter D, Barefoot Gen, Wicked City, Tales of the Wolf. Man, then some of the newer ones, well, not quite new, Full Metal Alchemist. That's real good. Yeah, man. So I mean, I haven't seen One Piece and Berserk, but I've heard good things about them. Let me see. Let me get another one here. Now, okay, I told Max Gioma my favorite decade for film. That's tough right there, man. Max Gioma. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. I apologize if I'm not. Max Giova. My favorite decade for film, that is tough. I mean, the 90s were good. The 2000s were real good. I think the 2000s was like a comeback for film because you had a lot of the established directors that you have today, like Christopher Nolan. What's his name? The one who did Requiem for a Dream. What's his name? What's his name? Who did Requiem for a Dream? Yeah, I cannot. Well, okay, you had him. You had Alejandro Inarritu Gonzalez, who I think is one of the best. You had a lot of really good directors to come out in the 2000s. The 2000s was like a hell of a decade, like from 2000, like from 1999 up to like 2000. Oh my God, you had some good directors out there, man. I mean, so the 2000s were good. The 90s were good. The 90s were good. The 80s were real good. The 80s is kind of underrated. The 80s were good. The 70s, oh man, let's go back. You can go back to the 60s. You can go back to the 50s. Where Elia Kazan ruled the 50s. You talking about one director came out with three of the most iconic. I mean, this guy, he directed like 15 movies in that one decade, Elia Kazan. I mean, you think about some of the most iconic movies, A Streetcar Named Desire, East of Eden, and with the late, great James Stewart, who would have gone on to be the best actor, in my opinion, if not for his untimely death in that car accident he had. You know, James Stewart, no, not James Stewart, but Jimmy Dean was in. You know, you had those three films by Lai Kazan. Then when you talking about David Lean, the David Lean films. I mean, I think his films came out like in the 60s, I believe. You know, you had Lawrence of Arabia, Dr. Zhivago. Definitely, aside from my favorite decade, anybody who come out with these lists, when they come out with these lists and they start talking about, well, who the greatest director, you see the laziest option. Oh, Stanley Kubrick. Stanley Kubrick is not the best director of all time, and he's not the best director easily. He's one of the best directors. But when you talking about one of the director they always leave off that list, David Lean. Man, David Lean. A strong case could be made that this guy was the greatest director. A strong case. I didn't say he was the best. But when you start seeing these lists go out and people start talking about Francis Ford Coppola, or either they'll talk about Stanley Kubrick, I say, I bet you the people who are coming out with those two directors as the greatest are probably under 30. Because when you start talking about the greatest directors, you got to go back to Fritz Lang. I mean, come on now, Metropolis, Dr. Mabuse. I mean, you start talking about Howard Hawks, John Huston. Man, you talking about some good directors, man. But I mean, but that aside, I really don't know what my favorite. I mean, to be honest with you, I really don't know what my favorite decade is. That's tough. Favorite decade is tough. I mean, I would have to really go through my collection, do some research over the internet, and really nail down the decades, because it's some really good decades out here, man. Some real good ones. Real good ones. Let me get to it, Kixon. You know what? I agree with you on Akira. The manga is better. The manga is better, man, because Akira really stripped everything out for the movie. The movie, he actually did the movie. He actually was writing the manga at the time that he did the movie, so he took a break in the manga and did the film, then came back to finish the manga. I think he did like 6 books. Yeah, there was 6 books. Yeah, so I agree with you on that. On the waterfront, oh, definitely on the waterfront. On the waterfront. I mean, I said earlier, I don't know if, I think you was here, but for anybody who showing up at this point, that's my pick as the greatest film ever made. I mean, hands down, man. I think the film won like a 11. Didn't that film win like 8? I think it may have won 8 Academy Awards, and I think it was probably nominated for 11. But when you talk about the greatest film ever, the single film, I mean, it's a strong case can be made for On the Waterfront. Another film that you can make a strong case for is Network. I believe Network come out. I think Network came out like 1973 or something like that. Let me look it up real quick. I mean, it's a strong case can be made for On the Waterfront. Another film that you can make a strong case for is Network. I believe. Yeah, Network came out in 1976, and I mean, I think a strong. It was written by Patty Chayefsky and directed by Sidney Lumet, who also directed Dog Day Afternoon. You know, that's why I can't say we're going back to decades. I mean, Sidney Lumet had 2 iconic films to come out in that decade. Coppola had Godfather 1 and 2 come out in that decade, and Apocalypse Now in one decade. I mean, and that's just 5 movies. That's just 5 movies from one day. That's just 5 movies from one. That's why it's hard to really say what the best decade for film was. But yeah, that movie was great. But I want to answer this one right here, Akira. Okay, let me check this one. Akira is great, but in my opinion, it barely holds a candle to. Okay, yeah, I got that one. Thanks. And my funk, you could have saved me a lot of time. I'm sorry. hey, good looking out. My funk. Thank you very much. Oh, Scarlet Street. Oh my God, man, the great Edward G. Robinson. Scarlet Street. The great Edward G. Robinson. See, man, Edward G. Robinson. See, I'm going to do a video, and I was talking about this earlier in reference to Carl Malden. Somebody brought up Carl Malden in On the Waterfront, and I commented on how I felt like he's one of those actors who really is, I would say, unappreciated, because he was the type of actor that would take a back seat and make the lead actor look even better, and play off the lead actor and he was good at making lead actors look better, just like Gene Hackman. He was the same way at making his lead actors look better, So yeah, Edward G. Robinson was the same way, man. Even though he was a lead, but I think going into his 40s, that's when he was especially now going into his 50s, when he did Soylent Green with that was around the time when he accepted the fact that he wasn't getting those roles anymore, those leading roles that he had gotten much when he was younger, like Little Caesar. Oh man, great film, man, Little Caesar. But that's when he said, well, let me go ahead and accept and embrace being a supporting actor, but I mean, one of the least appreciated actors when it comes down to people coming up with these greatest actor lists. I really think that you need to have a very deep exposure to film. When I say deep, I mean not just film of this millennium, this past 20 years, but I think you need to go back so that you can have a broader frame of reference, because you leave so many great actors out when you limit your selection for greatest actors to the last 20 years. You leave so many good actors out, man. I mean, you had Laurence Olivier, you had John Lawton, you had so many good actors throughout the history of cinema, and Edward G. Robinson, boy, I mean, you talk about Scarlet Street, boy, I mean, that's at the top of my list, Mr. Fritz Lang. Fritz Lang, boy, Fritz Lang was no joke when it came to film. This guy was no joke. This guy was so cold. He was so cold that when he made Metropolis, his wife wrote Metropolis. I think her name was Thea von Harbaugh. His wife actually wrote Metropolis. Fritz Lang's wife. She wrote it and he directed. But that film was so amazing that the Nazis wanted Hitler. They wanted Fritz Lang to work for them. They wanted him to work in that propaganda film department. I believe that was Goebbels. They wanted, and that's when Fritz Lang left. He left Germany. Because I believe too, he was a German Jew. He left Germany, and shortly after that, he and his wife, Thea von Harbaugh, they divorced because she was an avowed Nazi. So they wound up splitting from each other, and that's when Fritz Lang had his American run, his American movies like The Big Heat and like Scarlet Street, and there were many others. But yeah, I mean, boy, I'm telling you, boy. Edward G. Robinson is no joke. But let me answer this one right here. Have you watched the Argentine movie, The Secret? No, I have not. Is it now? How is it? How is it? I have not seen that film. I have not seen that film, The Secret in Their Eyes. And my funk, I agree with you. Now, which one are you referring to when you say it's a prophetic film? Are you referring to Scarlet Street or are you referring to Network? Because I do believe Network, that film was ahead of its time. That film predated the time that we're living in right now. It predated that time. I mean, if you had to have the perfect George Orwellian vision of how 2022 would be like. That's Network. Definitely. Network. That's definitely the film right there. And you talking about a film that was decorated. I think that film won. I have never heard of a film winning. That film won like 4 acting awards. I mean, I think that film won like in every major acting category. I believe it won. It won in just about every major acting. Not cinematography, not writing, just in acting. It was nominated. It won. I think Network is the best satire ever made. Mr. Sidney Lumet. Wow. That is a hell of a movie. If you haven't seen Network, now, I'm going to let y'all know right now, we have completed my list of films about faith. Right now, we're just hanging out, and I really appreciate it. Wow, I mean, it feels good to be able to hang out with you guys, and not just to, even though I'm still doing my film analysis, but I do those kind of like I do those in a vacuum. I do those, I'm all by myself. I do those, man, it's tough, man. And I put it up there and I still don't get to I still don't get to interact other than to respond to comments, which is cool. I love that. But I love the back and forth here. I really love this, man. I love the back and forth. I love this, I love this. This is great. I really love it. I mean, you guys are amazing. I really, really appreciate you guys. I really do. Yeah, but Network is a amazing movie. Now let me get a few more of these. Oh, my funk. Darren Aronofsky. How could I forget Darren Aronofsky? This guy is, this guy is amazing. I mean, the 2000s. I'm going to tell you, DM, I don't know if you still there. Okay, now you said right here that, now, I'm going to tell you, man, Aronofsky, man, okay, now I'm going to say this. I probably seen one Aronofsky film. The very first film I ever saw of Darren Aronofsky. His very first film, I saw it back in 2001, I believe. It's called Pi. I still have that movie on DVD. And I'm going to tell you, man, I liked Pi. And Pi is one of those movies that I don't see that often. And when the last time I saw it, I kind of felt the same way about it as the first time I saw it. Even though you could still see the potential that he showed that really came out when he did Requiem for a Dream, man. But I like Mother. I thought Mother was amazing, man. I think Mother was incredible. I like to do Mother, but the only reason that I kind of hesitate on doing it is because whenever I do a film analysis, I don't want to give you somebody else's perspective, meaning that I guess the biblical the biblical themes in Mother, and the motifs that are used in Mother are kind of a little too obvious for me. I like to be able to find something a little more subtle, something that's not as loud, something I like to be able to find that whisper before I do a film analysis. If I can find that whisper in a script or in a film, then I'll do it and give you my interpretation of that film. But if it's something that is kind of, obvious, like Mother, Mother is, I love Mother, man, but I have to see it again or probably read the script in order to get something. But yeah, but DM, you know what? I'm gonna tell you, man, I like most of his movies, man. I liked Noah. I don't think Noah was great. I think that it was written really from the standpoint of someone who probably shouldn't have done that movie. Because I think that the movie really was kind of like a cop-out in calling God the creator. And I think that it was trying to make too many people happy by not taking a definite position, on that story out of the Bible, which a lot of it was, most of that in that movie, if not damn near all of it, was made up. He took a lot of liberties with that material, but I still liked the movie. I thought it was entertaining. Like I said, the only one that I really didn't care for that much was Pi. That was his first movie. Of course, I probably have to go back and look at it again because I'm pretty sure that everything that was great that came out in Requiem for a Dream, which came out like a couple of years later, was in that movie. I think all the elements are there, and I probably need to just go back and just take a really close look at it and just really kind of, take my time and check it out. Like I say, we just shooting it. So since we're talking about the 2000s, let's talk about Christopher Nolan. Right out the gate, he was great. When I saw that movie Following, that was his first. Now, his first movie I saw was Memento. That was the very first film I saw. I saw it when it came out. When it came out, I was so blown away by Memento, man, and just the way that he designed the plot. I did. It's really like a review, and I did a little analysis in it. But I agree with what I said in that video, that he patterned the plot off of the main character's memory disorder. He patterned the plot. If you look at the plot and you look at his memory disorder, where he can only remember 5 minutes back, the film always started by showing you the end result, and then it would show you what led to that. It kept going backwards like that, and that was patterned after his 5-minute memory retention disorder, But that was the movie that made me want to go back and see Following. And when I saw Following just blew me away, man. I mean, and even now, if you go back and look at that movie, you could see all of the genius that he put on display in The Dark Knight and all of his subsequent films, like Inception, which I haven't done, which I plan on doing. You could see all of that. He came on the scene fully formed. It wasn't like he came as a baby and kind of grew up as his films, as his films became bigger budgeted. He came in out the gate cold. And another director, probably, in my opinion, the best director from 2000 to the present, not probably, he is the best director. Inarritu Gonzalez, what is his name? Alejandro Inarritu Gonzalez, hands down, the best director working right now. The best. I mean, I would stack his films up from his first film, Amores Perros, to his most recent film. I would stand his films up against Stanley Kubrick's. Stanley Kubrick's first film wasn't as good as Alejandro Inarritu Gonzalez's first film. I mean, it's when you start getting up into like Paths of Glory, and then you start getting into like Lolita, and then you start getting into like Doctor Strangelove, that you see Stanley Kubrick's movies really become like just like just on another level, cosmic, But his first films was okay, I mean, you could still see the genius there, but it was, such, it was in such a primitive state that you wouldn't have known that he would have produced something like Doctor Strangelove or 2001: A Space Odyssey much later. But when you look at Alejandro Inarritu Gonzalez's resume, and you look at Amores Perros is no less good than his latest film, the one that he did with that actor that was in Titanic. My memory is just, boy, I'll tell you, getting old ain't fun. But Leonardo DiCaprio, stay with that movie. I know somebody gonna help me out. I mean, but yeah, those movies, Amores Perros is as good as Amores Perros is as good as that director's last movie. So yeah, man. I mean, the 2000s were good. I would say Darren Aronofsky, though. I mean, that's my boy, though. I like him, man. That's my boy. I can't say nothing bad about Darren Aronofsky. Blade Runner, I've already covered Blade Runner. I did a couple of film analysis the past 3 weeks on Blade Runner. Matter of fact, I did Blade Runner, the original, and I did Blade Runner 2049 about a week ago. So I'm good on that. Cool Hand Luke, man, I got to cover that, boy. I mean, Paul Newman was the one, man. He was a guy on screen and off. On screen and off. I mean, amazing. One of my all-time favorite actors. Who could forget his role in Cat on the Hot Tin Roof, man, with Mr. Big Daddy Burl Ives and the beautiful Liz Taylor. Oh my God, yeah, man. And who can also forget his role in The Hustler opposite the late great Jackie Gleason. And Laura, I believe her name is Piper, the one that was Laura, the one that was in that played Carrie's mother in that movie Carrie. I think Piper Laurie. Yeah, and that's The Hustler. So yeah, I mean, who could forget Paul Newman, man, and Cool Hand Luke? I mean, Cool Hand Luke, man, that is a very deep movie, and it's more than about jail. It's more than about prison. No, even though I've read a lot of that stuff actually happened, not that movie, but a lot of that actually happened to those guys back then, but, this guy was amazing. And guess who else in that movie? Have you seen Walking Tall? Joe Don Baker is in Cool Hand Luke. He one of the inmates, Mr. Joe Don Baker. Yeah. So yeah, man. I plan on doing Cool Hand Luke. Yeah, Piper Laurie. That's right, my funk. Piper Laurie. Hey, right on, my funk. I appreciate it. That's Piper Laurie. Yeah. And in The Hustler. The Hustler was great, boy. If you haven't seen The Hustler, if anybody hasn't seen The Hustler, check out The Hustler. Check out The Hustler. If you like pool, you don't even have to like pool. But just check out The Hustler and check out Mr. Jackie Gleason as the man. Minnesota Fats. That's a bad movie right there, boy. That's a cold one. That's a good one. That's a good one. But hold up. Let me get some more of these. Fear and Desire. Yeah, you know, Fear and Desire. I have the film that he did right after that. For years, that film was considered his first film before they found Fear and Desire. I forgot the name of this film that I got. And basically, it's got this guy in it. He's a boxer, and he falls in love with it's like a film. I guess you could say film noir. I guess you could say it's in that genre. This boxer falls in love with this, this woman who doesn't deserve it. And, I don't know if that's not Fear and Desire. That's the other film. But yeah, Kubrick, he really took off when he did Paths of Glory. When he did Paths of Glory, that's when Kubrick took off. And after that, man, when he did, and really where his career just went on another level, really was Doctor Strangelove. His career went to another level, and Doctor Strangelove really opened the door for 2001 because that came right after Doctor Strangelove. But I'm gonna tell you, when Kubrick turned that corner, man, on the 70s, I think Doctor Strangelove it came out like 1968. When he did Doctor Strangelove, man, he put himself on. When you talk about Mount Olympus, man, he became like one of the guys, like Zeus, like on that level, man. Poseidon or somebody, man. I mean, when he got on that level, man, it's like, but his early films, you could not stack those up against Alejandro Inarritu Gonzalez. His films were more sophisticated, man. Way more sophisticated, especially Amores Perros. If you haven't seen that, I mean, wow. I mean, that was ingenious to come up to use the animals, the pets, the owner, the pets as as counterpoints to the owners of those pets. The relationships and how they related to their pets and how they were relating to each other, man. I mean, that was ingenious, boy. That's one that's definitely on my list to actually do an analysis on. Amores Perros. But yeah, let me get to this one right here. You say Herzog, Werner. That Werner Herzog. Yeah, he's a good director. He's pretty good. But Cool Hand Luke, yeah, my funk. I mean, Amores Perros is awesome. If anybody out there, if you want to just see a movie that will just blow you away, but I'm gonna warn you. This movie is gory. It's contextual. It all fits the film and what the subject matter, But it's about dog fighting. It starts out about, I guess you could say that the majority of the film is about dog, but the movie is not about dog fighting. They just use the dog fighting as a counterpoint for the relationships, the interactions between the characters in the film. So the dog fighting is not, if you look at the film, the first 5 minutes, I want to look at this dog fighting. It's not about dog fighting. You have to come into this film with an abstract perspective. And you have to look past the dogs to see what this director is really talking about. This is a profound film, man. Still, I mean, I don't even know if I can even pick out my best Inarritu Gonzalez film. I mean, you talking about he did that, did Amores Perros, he did Beautiful. He did the movie Babel with Brad Pitt and Kate Blanchett. Javier Bardem, that's right, he did that with Beautiful. Javier Bardem is probably the best actor out there, in my opinion. Beautiful. I mean, wow. He did Man, this guy did some great movies. Birdman is genius. Birdman is amazing. Amazingly complex film. Birdman. A film that is really for the Facebook social media generation. That's really all the film is about. It's really a metaphor for social media and how we seek validation from others through social media, and how we live our lives vicariously and how we see life vicariously. We'd rather look at life through this than to look at it, for what it is in real time. So Birdman is a great movie, man. Wow. I mean, that's a good one. This guy hasn't done a bad movie. I mean, he has not even done a good movie. Every film he's done has been great. And these are directors I look for. When I go over, yeah. Oh, E2 Mama Tambien. Oh my God, that's one of my favorites. E2 Mama Tambien. Boy, I can go and get the DVD right now and show it to you. I love E2 Mama Tambien. That is a bad movie. Now, who's that lead actor in Mordes Pedos? Because he's also the lead actor in E2 Tambien to that road. E2 Tambien is just a road trip. It's a road trip film. Like Thelma Louise, but it's like two guys and a woman. But that's one I'm definitely gonna have to get on my list, man. As far as doing a film analysis on it, a film breakdown on that. But that's a fantastic one. Let me get up to this one right here. No, I have not seen that, Sam. I have not checked it out. But you better believe me, I'm going to be mining these comments. I'm going to be mining these comments for some films, for some good films, because I'm running out. Matter of fact, I've seen a couple of good films. Oh yeah, okay, Gael Garcia. That guy's he's a great actor. Gael Garcia Bernal. Yeah, it's been a while since I've seen his movies though, man. He's a great actor, man. Great actor. And was he also has he done any movies with Pedro Almodovar? Because I have quite a few Pedro Almodovar films that I haven't seen in a while. I mean, man, that Birdman, the way that they were tracking, it kind of puts me in the mind of old Alfred Hitchcock film called Rope. I did I guess you would say, I covered Rope a number of years ago. I didn't cover it recently, and I plan on doing it again because there's some ideas I've gotten since the last time I've watched that film, and the last time I've actually I wrote about it and did a video on it. So yeah, I plan on seeing that film again soon and doing a proper film analysis on it. But Birdman kind of puts me in the mind of Rope, and I know you know where I'm going to. As far as the way that they were hiding the cuts of that film. But from what I read about Birdman, though, is that they had blocked that set, so it was so intricately blocked that I believe that what's her name, the young lady who played the daughter. She played Michael Keaton's daughter in the film. Was her name Stone? And she was saying that they had a sequence where it was like a 5 or 6 minute sequence, unbroken sequence, completely unbroken sequence, and she came within like a fraction of a second off, and it messed up the whole thing. So that's what Rope kind of puts me in the mind of. Of course, Hitchcock didn't have. I don't think Hitchcock had less real estate in Rope to work with than N&E2 had in Birdman. So he only, because Hitchcock only had 2 rooms, because really everything took place in just one big room, and they would just move in between from that one room to the next. But in an E2's case, I mean, they had dressing rooms, they had the stage, they had different areas behind the stage, they had the streets. I mean, that film, the cinematography in that film, I forgot who did the cinematography for that film. I forgot his name. His name's around the tip of my tongue, but it'll come to me, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, Emma Stone. Thanks a lot. Emma Stone. And oh boy, Emma Stone was bad in that movie, man. She was good in that movie, but I had to read and reread that script to really understand where she was coming from, and where she was coming from as far as how her character interacted with with Regan. His name Regan Thompson. Yeah, that was his name in that movie, Regan Thompson. How she interacted with him in that film. So, and once I got that, I had to go through like 3 or 4 readings before I finally of the script. 'Cause I like reading the script doing these, because when I'm watching a movie, I like to enjoy the movie. I don't want to read the movie with a notepad. I used to watch a movie, and then I would have a notebook, and I would just be not looking at the notebook, but just doing shorthand in the notebook as I'm watching the film, and hoping later that I can understand, the hieroglyphs that I take down while I'm watching the film. And when I started doing the film's analysis by reading the script, it just made it a lot more easier for me. So I had to read that script a number of times to be able to understand her character. I think her character in the film was Sam, I believe. It took a number of readings to understand her character, but once I got it, and then that gave me even more respect for Alejandro Inarritu as a director. I don't know if he wrote that film. I think he may have co-written Birdman, but I don't think he wrote it by himself. But most of his films he did write. But I mean, this unbelievable director. I don't see if there's a better director. I would have made the case that Christopher Nolan. I guess you can make a case that Christopher Nolan is probably, he and Alejandro Inarritu Gonzalez are probably like this, but I would probably put Gonzalez probably a little bit over Christopher Nolan. That's my opinion. Let me see if I got all these. Am I a fan of classic? I don't even know if It Kickson is still here. But am I a fan of classic Hong Kong martial art movies? Oh, of course, man. I grew up watching them, man. Bruce Lee was my boy, man. I mean, I grew up watching Bruce. I came up on Bruce Lee and Bruce Lee. All them films, man. All them films. The Deadly Venoms, Executioners from Shaolin, all that. Yeah, I came up watching all those Hong Kong movies, and I came up watching John Woo, who's one of the best directors, especially before he came to America, with his films A Better Tomorrow 1 and 2, and also Hard Boiled, the Killers. I mean, Once Upon a Thief. I mean, yeah, man. I mean, I'm a big fan of Hong Kong martial art movies. Oh my God, yes, man. I mean, I remember coming up as a kid. They used to have, that's back when they had only 3 channels on TV, and only the rich people had cable. Okay, so I came up in those times. That's how old I am. But they always, every Friday, they would have a kung fu movie, and I can remember my friends and I from down the street. We'd be in front of this little black and white TV for 2 or 3 hours. I think they had a double feature on, man. I mean, yeah, I love Hong Kong movies. I love them. I haven't seen this one, boy. I mean, you are really recommending some movies to me. I have not seen it. I have not seen that movie, but I will look it up. Beautiful Oh man, I love Beautiful. I love Beautiful, but the thing is that it took me a while to really kind of get around to Beautiful, because you would assume that films that good would would be more, they would get more word of mouth or whatever. But then I realized that there's a difference between the films like these films, like Beautiful, and the films that get the word of mouth. I mean, these are small art house movies. And that's why I don't like the way that cinema is going right now, because you see less and less of those art house movies now. I mean, you couldn't imagine. I mean, you sitting up now and you looking at films like, you may not like Gaspar Noé, but I respect him in the respect that I respect Gaspar Noé from the standpoint that he's not afraid to express himself creatively, himself creatively. And I couldn't imagine a film like his first film, I believe, I Stand Alone, or even a film like Irreversible being made right now. I mean, those two films. I mean, I couldn't even imagine films like that coming out. There's not a lot of them. Another director that I really like is a director by the name of Peter Greenaway. And Peter Greenaway did, my first Peter Greenaway film was a film called The Cook, the Thief, His Wife, and Her Lover. That's the name of the film. The Cook, the Thief, His Wife, and Her Lover. And this film stars Helen Mirren. Oh man, that's one of the, oh man, I mean, great art house film, man. But they just don't make films like that anymore, though. Not really. They really don't make cutting edge, avant-garde movies like that anymore. Not anymore. No. I mean, everybody now is, I mean, they want a movie that can please everybody. And you can't please everybody. You can't please everybody. That's why they have this thing called variety. If you don't like that movie, look at that. But it seems like all the movies now are being made alike. Basically. I mean, there's still some real good movies out there coming out, though, right now. I mean, there's still some very good movies coming out. But there's not as many as there used to be. Not as many as there used to be. I'm gonna see if I have if I'm all caught up here. Oh yeah, Stan. I just mentioned that. Yep, Rope. Definitely, definitely, definitely. I tell people, man, check out Rope. That's why people need to go back and look at some of the older films. Now is the perfect opportunity and time, because now you have these streaming platforms like Amazon Prime. Now you can go back and you can look at some of these older films like Rope, and you can compare those films to the films that are made today, and you'll see that most of these films today are derivative of films that were made that were already made. And there were films back then that were derivative of films that were made before them. That's why a person should really, I guess, educate themselves on film by first developing appreciation for cinema, irrespective of eras and irrespective of medium. To look at an old a film that was made in the 50s and call it old, and treat it like it's like a loaf of bread or a jug of milk that's been sitting out overnight, I think is the wrong approach to go as far as appreciating film. Because if it's new, if you haven't seen it before. If it was made in 1912, if you haven't seen it, it's new. It's a new film. It's a brand new film. You can look at a film. It's a guy, I think his name is Eisenstein. He made a film called Battleship Potemkin. That film was made back in the what? That's a silent film. That film was made back in like in the 19. I don't have that information. That film probably was made like in 1920 or something like that. Amazing film. Amazing film. So it's not a old film if you haven't seen it. If you haven't seen it, it's new. It's new. It's new. That's the way that we are being conditioned to look at things now. In this generation right now, is that if it hadn't came out 2 hours ago, it's old. It's not old. Because believe me, the guys who are coming out really making really great movies, they know about those movies. If you ever sit up and look at some of the interviews that Christopher Nolan does, all he does is reference Hitchcock. So I mean, all those directors, the new directors today, the really good ones, they reference the directors, the old, not old, but those directors back then. In that era, they reference them, which is why I think they have an advantage over directors that don't reference them, because they're trying to reinvent the wheel, and the wheel's already been invented, So I'm gonna tell you, man, Birdman is a great film, and I would not put it past Inarritu drawing inspiration from Rope. Definitely. Matter of fact, I even think I looked at the commentary on the Blu-ray where he actually did make reference to Rope. And how they were hiding the cuts behind the characters' backs and everything. So yeah. I mean, I just think that Rope and the films of that age have had more influence on films today than a lot of people realize. And if you go back and you start becoming a student and say, hey, you know what? I'm running out of movies because I'm just looking at movies that came out this year. Let me go back and let me look at some of these older movies. You might say, whoa, man, there's some good movies out there, man. I didn't know these movies were that good. And that's what really broadened my horizons. Because what broadened my horizons was back when I really started getting bit by that movie bug, they had Blockbuster. And that was back in the, I guess, I'm going to be honest with you. I always loved film all my life, but I didn't really get bit hard until like the mid-90s. I didn't get bit hard. And you know what bit me? What bit me was, and I'm not going to lie, I was in Blockbuster with my ex-wife, and we kept passing by this little aisle that had these cartoons on. And I kept saying, man, I can remember looking at Speed Racing when I was growing up, yeah. And I said, man, we ran out of movies because we were just on one shelf, new release shelf, and we ran out of movies. And man, let's take a chance. So I picked up Akira and Fist of the North Star. And I said, whoa, I have never seen anything like this in my life. They blew my mind. But it also opened my mind up, and it said, wow, think how many times we passed this aisle and we never stopped because this was something that was foreign. This was Japanese. It wasn't American. This was foreign. This stuff had subtitles to it. That's what turned me into a movie file. Because after that, that's when I started looking at movies as world cinema. I said, wait a minute. The difference between let's put it like this. Somebody in another country is looking at an American movie subtitled in their language. So why can't I look at a foreign movie and with it subtitled in my language? And I realized, there was a whole planet of movie, a universe of movies out there I was missing out on. Simply because I had a myopic view of cinema. It had to be American. And once I came out of that, It was the best and worst thing that could have happened to me because I went broke. I went broke instantly. Every time I got paid, I had to get. Man, I was getting those criterions, getting those movies. Man, Akira Kurosawa. Oh man, shoo. I mean, man. I mean, when you talk about the best movie directors out there, I think they are definitely not in the USA. They are not here. The best directors ever. I mean, you sit down, you put together a list. You talking about Federico Fellini? You talking about you got a greatest director list, and you don't have Fellini on that list? La Strada, La Dolce Vita, 8.5. You don't have this guy on your list? Yeah, you know what? Flame in the dark. You know what? That's what did it. That's what did it. And it was something as innocuous as anime. And people would even think, how could you go from anime to looking at films by Fellini, Francois Truffaut? You know, how could you go from anime, a cartoon? Those are not cartoons. You know, what it was a perspective. It was something that gave me a whole different perspective, not just on film, but on life. Because sometimes what we do is we get caught up in our own little world to where we become so chauvinistic that we take for granted the fact that our experiences are limited. Your experiences are limited. So there are other worlds out here and other experiences that you have yet to be exposed to. So once I realized by looking at these anime, I said, "Whoa! I would have never known." And we be the only ones at that section of Blockbuster, and then we may move from there to the foreign section. That caused us to move to the foreign section. We said, "Wow! Look at these movies," and we start moving. Now, I think the first really foreign film I saw, and it was one of the first, was Run Lola Run by Tom Tykwer, I believe. I believe he's a German director. But and it was complete, and that's when they were on VHS. It wasn't no DVD out. And like I said, only the rich people had DVDs. I was looking at, we were getting all those movies on tape, state of the art VHS, you know. So that's how we were getting it. And I'm gonna tell you right now, it was like the whole world opened up for me once I realized that there was a world outside of the world I had always grown up to accept as the world. And that's what opened me up, and I learned so much watching film. Do you realize you can get culture from film? You know, you can get, I mean, and the thing is that you have people who talk about movies and film. Like I said, you know, you have McDonald's and you have a fine steak. You know, you have a great movie and then a great film, and then you have a movie. You know, they are two different. You're comparing apples and oranges. A movie is not a film. You know. Oh yeah, that was a good. Oh man, so that's going back. I heard those laser discs are pretty good though. Stan. Oh my God, man. Rashomon. You know what? Now, I did a film analysis on Rashomon. You might want to go into my playlist called Cinema Geeks. I did a film analysis on Rashomon a couple of years ago. And honestly, I still like it. And usually, you know, when we, you know, do things, and later come back to them, we say, wow, I mean, I'm still pleased with the perspective that I gave on that film in that video. So you might want to go back, stand and check out if if it interests you. You might want to go back to my playlist. It's called Cinema Geeks. And I actually did Rashomon in that playlist. But that was one of his great films, man. And I mean, that was one of his shorter films too. I think Rashomon didn't run Rashomon was probably like 80 something minutes or something like that, like an hour and 20 minutes. That was, and that was before he went on to do his epics like Ron and let me see, Ron and man, he did some good. This guy I think I got most of his movies. I got most of Akira Kurosawa's films, man. I mean, he did some good movies, but most of his films turned out to be epics after that. But you know what? You don't mind looking at a Akira Kurosawa 3-hour movie. You don't mind looking at them movies because this guy, when you talk about the best director, that's why I always say when people come up with these little short lists talking about let me come up with somebody. Christopher Nolan is the best director ever. Or they come up with Stanley Kubrick, the best director. Stanley Kubrick was one of the best directors, one of the great directors. You can't say he was the best director if you haven't seen directors like Fellini. Oh man, Fellini is on a different level, man. I'm be honest with you, and I'm not saying this facetiously. I'm almost scared. I am scared to do one of Fellini's films as far as a film analysis. But I'm challenged by his films too. That's what's challenging to me is when you have a director like a Fellini, because he is so his thoughts, man, his brain is so complex, man. I mean, it's so subtle. From all of his films, man. I mean, whether you talk about 8½, La Dolce Vita, Juliet of the Spirits. Oh my God! I did a couple of his movies though. I did La Strada with Juliet Messina and the great Anthony Quinn. I did that one. That was a good. Well, no, it's not. I didn't do La Strada. I did Knights of Cabaret. I'm sorry, I did Knights of Cabaret. I didn't do La Strada. But yeah, this guy here, when people talk about the greatest directors that ever lived, I mean, you have to have a broad reference to say that. And if your reference is deep, it only goes as deep as 2000 or 1990 or 1980 or something like that, man. Even 1970. You can't say that. You have to keep going back because there are some. I mean, you talking about Elia Kazan. Man, this guy was amazing. Well, Elia Kazan was no joke. Then you talking about David Lean. I will say this about David Lean. When it comes down to the epic, to making the epic, the 3-hour movie, there was no director ever as good as David Lean. When it comes down to making the 3-hour movie, there was no director as good as him. Magnificent Seven, great. Magnificent Seven, great. I got to revisit it though. All-star cast. Everybody's in that movie, man. Robert Vaughn, Steve McQueen, Yul Brynner. Everybody you can think of is in that movie. Was James Coburn. Everybody who James Coburn. Anybody who's anybody's in that movie. Oh my God, man. And you know what? You're right. Seven Samurai was remade. A lot of his movies, a lot of Akira Kurosawa's movies were remade. You know, Clint Eastwood, the spaghetti western. Sergio Leone, another great director. I think he based two of his Clint Eastwood spaghetti westerns off of two of Akira Kurosawa's films. I believe Yojimbo and I believe Sanjuro, I believe. Yeah, man, I love Criterion. But you know what? One thing I like about Criterion is Criterion. When you see that anointing on the top of that box and on that disc, you know it's a good movie. It's relevant. You know that is a great movie. When it receives the Criterion anointing, it's a good movie. A great, if not a great movie, and they corner the market on Akira Kurosawa's films because you can. I think all of those films are like High and Low, High and Low is a good one, man. I did a review on High and Low years ago. It's one called I think it's called Rainy Dog. That he did one called Akiru. I mean, this guy did some great movies, man. He redid a lot of the Shakespeare plays. He redid Macbeth. I think Macbeth is called Throne of Blood. You know, he did a number of I think Ron is based on one of the Shakespeare plays too. But yeah, man. I mean, it's hard when people start talking about, Fistful of Dollars. That's it. That's it. That's it. A fistful of dollars. That's it. As a matter of fact, a fistful of dollars, that is Yojimbo. That's Yojimbo. A Fistful of Dollars was based on Yojimbo. Yojimbo. Look it up. A Fistful of Dollars is based on Yojimbo. Kurosawa, man, you know what? That would have been interesting, man, if Kurosawa would have remade The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. That would have been very interesting, man, to see him remake that, man. That would have been very interesting, man, to see how Kurosawa would. I think that you can't go wrong, though. Him or Mr. Sergio Leone. Oh, my God. You talking about some directors, boy. Sergio Leone, boy. That dude was no joke. Invented the spaghetti western, as far as I'm concerned. That dude was amazing. It made one of the greatest gangster movies ever made that I plan on doing here real soon. Once Upon a Time in America. Oh my God, man. This guy. Oh. Okay, Ron was based on King Lear. Okay, we got somebody here read Shakespeare. Okay, King Lear. Okay. I haven't read King Lear. Haven't read that. Read Macbeth. Read, my favorite is Hamlet. Still gonna be Hamlet. Haven't read King Lear. I got to get to it though. Richard Linklater. Oh, I love Richard Linklater. Richard Linklater is. Oh man, you know what? Now two of his films that three of them that I'm going to do. Waking Life. What's the other one? Based on. I got the book right here. Based on this book right here. Philip K. Dick, A Scanner Darkly. That's Richard Linklater. And also Fast Food Nation. With the great Bruce Willis. You know, Bruce Willis, man, I feel bad about what's happening with him right now, man, because he seemed like, to me, he come across as a real cool, laid back dude, you know. And always one of those actors, man, that, you know, every time you seen him in a movie, man, it was good. You knew it was good, man, because, you know, he kind of harkens back to the old days where, you know, the macho, I guess you could say action stars, man, you know, the kind I really respect and I really like. You know, I don't like the stuff that's coming out now, but I like the guys who, you know, the Arnold Schwarzeneggers, man, and the guys in the older films, man, the macho guys. Those are the ones I like. And it's kind of hard to see Bruce Willis going through what he's going through right now. However, he did put forth a very small but very solid performance in Fast Food Nation. That's a deep movie. If you have not seen Fast Food Nation, oh my God, man, you in for a treat. That film says a lot. I mean, that film says a lot, and that film does not get enough attention. That is truly, I mean, if you look at Richard Linklater, just those three films. Now, I haven't seen the film that they hyped up called Boyhood. I think it's called Boyhood, where they stopped filming and then came back a number of years later and filmed the same actor in the film, older. I haven't seen Boyhood, but those three films, Waking Life, I love Waking Life. Waking Life, A Scanner Darkly, oh man, amazing film, man. And Fast Food Nation, if he just did those three films, just those three films, if I had to do my top 50 best films of all time, I would have those films probably somewhere in my 40s, in my 30s, my high 30s. Those three films, Waking Life, A Scanner Darkly, and Fast Food Nation. Fast Food Nation's amazing. Fast Food Nation says so much. It's not what you think. You think it's about fast food. It's not about fast food at all. That's an amazing film. Sight and Sound. You know what? No, I haven't checked it out recently. No, I haven't. You know what? I have a number of old magazines, that vintage magazines I was lucky to pick up from a friend, but I have not recently checked out their top 10 lists. I haven't. I didn't know The Lion King was inspired by Hamlet. Man, no, I did not know that. I had no idea. Wow. Man, I'm going to tell you, 12 Monkeys. 12 Monkeys is one of the best cyberpunk films ever made. One of the best, man. I mean, when you talk about a director, man, when he's owned. I mean, really owned. Terry Gilliam. 12 Monkeys. When I think about Terry Gilliam, I think about first Brazil. That's my favorite Terry Gilliam movie. I would have that movie in my top 20 of all time. Definitely. That's a very elite list, because that's going to span from the movies I have from the silent era all the way up to now. That movie's in my top 20. 12, but not 12 Monkeys, but Brazil. 12 Monkeys, it's hard. I can't put two of his movies in the top 20. So I'll put Brazil in the top 20. Brazil is amazing, man. Bruce Willis and Brad Pitt, man. It's hard to believe that those guys actually shared the same screen together. I mean, think about it. Bruce Willis and Brad Pitt. But man, when you talk about movie magic, there's a magic. When you talk about movie magic, I think about magic. When I think about really magic, like a movie, man, that gives you chill bumps when you see it, I would say the original Superman. Not the original, but Christopher Reeve's Superman. He's always going to be the only Superman for me. When you think about Superman, when you think about movies like that, movies like 12 Monkeys, those movies give me chill bumps, man. Those movies are like magical. And movies like Brazil, those movies are like really magical. You really got to be careful though, because this is what I found is when you really like movies like this, sometimes you get so excited that you want to share the movie. Hey, look, check out this film, because you think that everybody that you show it to it's going to resonate with them. It's not going to resonate with them. because most people in this culture right now are hooked on McDonald's. I hate to say it. We're hooked on fast food movies. If it's a movie that challenges you to think, and a movie that tells the story, but leaves just a little bit of space, a little bit of ambiguity for you to use your imagination to fill in the blanks. You know, people today, man, don't want to get into those kind of movies. So you got to be careful who you share these movies with. My thing, watch it by yourself. Watch it by yourself and enjoy it. Because the one thing that really ticks me off the most is sharing a movie. You put in a movie like 2001: The Space Odyssey, and you sitting, and you know how in the very beginning of the movie they have the overture, the music, not the music, but you just hear that, you hear that monolith. I think that's like the energy of the monolith, and you hear that, and then you got somebody sitting down there with you saying, "Okay, what's gonna happen?" It's already happening, because that's not a movie, that's an experience, and you don't want to share that with anybody. So what you want to do when you get movies like that, now if you get like Spider-Man No Way Home, you can share that with anybody. But if you're talking about 2001 or 12 Monkeys or Seven Samurai or Rashomon or something like that, or some Fellini, 8.5 or something. Look, you want to watch that by yourself. Or you want to get somebody who is like you, who gets it. Because if you don't, they're going to ruin it. They're going to blow it. You know, it's almost like taking a hit off a joint. I don't smoke weed. But for people who smoke weed, you take a hit off a joint, then you sitting back there trying to take it all in, and somebody talking and running their mouth like, "Hey man, look, you blowing my high now." That's how it is if you're watching a really great movie with somebody who is somebody who's not weaned off of this McDonald's out here, off of these little kiddie movies. You're gonna waste it. They're gonna blow your high. I was sitting down looking at a movie. And this is a movie by a director. Okay. I was looking at a movie. All right. Yeah, different strokes for different folks. I mean, you may hate 2001, but there's a movie out there that you and because you hear, I take it that you do have taste in film. So there's some movies that you do love that if you do share it, you're gonna share it with somebody who, John, if you do share that movie, you're gonna share it with somebody who likes it like you. Because if you don't, you're gonna waste the movie. You're gonna waste it because they're gonna be sitting up there waiting on the good part. You know how they say, when is something gonna happen? Because most movies that are made today, if you don't know, if you haven't noticed, there has to be an explosion or there has to be something sensational in that first 2 minutes. If it's not, you're gonna lose them. That's why I like art house movies, because art house movies are not engineered that way. If you like somebody like Peter Greenaway or something like that, and I mean, you gotta really you just have to really have a taste for movies, and an appreciation for just sitting back and just trying to just really penetrate somebody's head to look at a Peter Greenaway movie. Believe me, man. A lot of people have compared his style to Stanley Kubrick. But I think that Stanley Kubrick is more accessible than somebody like Peter Greenaway. But Stanley Kubrick, even though I still wouldn't say that he's a mainstream. Stanley Kubrick is not a mainstream director. No, some of his films are known or popular, like 2001, because it's been out 40 some years, but 50 some years. But he's not a mainstream director. But Peter Greenaway, Peter Greenaway is one of those directors that you have to really have some discriminating tastes and just really not mind just sitting back and just paying attention to everything. And I think there's a place for movies that are mainstream. My only problem is that those movies are displacing the space that small movies, art house movies used to occupy. Though they are taking up all of the real estate, especially after the pandemic, because the pandemic hurt the big theaters, but not as much as it hurt the small. It put the small theaters out of business completely. Completely. They can't compete. Completely out of business. So now the small filmmaker, that little independent filmmaker, he doesn't have anywhere to go now. I mean, he does, but I mean his options now are extremely limited now as opposed to pre-pandemic. Because you're not going to get if you think you're going to get into one of these other theaters, they're not going to preempt these Disney movies and these Marvel movies to show this little small movie in a theater where you may have four or 500 seats. No, they're not going to do that. We get some of these. You know what I'm gonna tell you, man? I love 2001 Stan, but I wouldn't say it's the best. I wouldn't say it's the best. Well, you say it's the best Vietnam movie. Okay, now you qualified that. Okay, you qualified that. You didn't say best war movie. You said best Vietnam movie. Probably agree with you. I could probably agree with that, man. I think that Full Metal Jacket might be the best Vietnam movie out there. Of course, you got Platoon also. Then you also have Hamburger Hill, which was also a good movie. But I think the closest you can come to, what am I thinking about? Wait a minute, man. You think that Full Metal Jacket is better than Apocalypse Now? Oh, man, now come on, man. Nah, I go with Apocalypse Now, man. Especially Redux. It's Apocalypse Now Redux, man. It's got, Full Metal Jacket, okay, I would say it's better than the theatrical version of Apocalypse Now, but with the Redux, as far as I'm concerned, I think that Redux puts Apocalypse Now Redux, I could put that over Full Metal Jacket, but I would say that, Full Metal Jacket, man, it's still in that argument, though. It's not like undisputed. As far as you can't dispute the fact that this movie is as good or better than this. You can still dispute the fact. But now my favorite is Apocalypse Now Redux. Now, I would like to just broaden that, though, when you talk about war. Now, when you talk about war films, just in general, though, I don't know, man. There's some good war films out there. World War II. That might be a video idea. Maybe I might pick the best war movies according to genre, like World War II, World War One. World War One movies, of course. I think probably the best World War One movie was Stanley Kubrick's Paths of Glory. Yeah, I think that would be the best World War One movie. Also, a recent movie that came out, I believe that movie 1912. I believe 1912. that movie was pretty unbelievable, man. Especially the cinematography. I have never seen a war movie with that kind of cinematography. I believe it's 1912. I think that I might have to do videos with war themes like World War One, World War Two movies, Vietnam movies. I mean, there were a number of decent Vietnam. I think that would probably be the best era. World War II, there were a lot of good World War II movies, man. You talking about Patton? Patton was amazing, and you can remember Patton was written by a 27-year-old Francis Ford Coppola. Can you believe this dude was 27 years old? He wrote Patton. You know what? You know what, John? I never saw The Human Condition. I can't recall. I might have seen it, but I can't recall it at this time. Okay. No, I haven't seen that one. I haven't seen. I'm gonna look it up though. Yeah. Okay. Okay. That's what Stan. That's the movie I'm talking about. 1917. Man, that movie. Man, Roger Deakins, the cinematographer in that movie. Man, I'm gonna tell you. I cannot think of, right off the top of my head, any cinematographer doing as good a job as Roger Deakins did on 1917, man. That movie is amazing. I mean, when you talk about breathtaking, man, you could sit down and just, now this is what I'm talking about when I say you got to look at some movies by yourself. Because you got some people who will sit up like they looking at a Marvel movie, or not Marvel, but just a slasher movie or something, saying, okay, what's happening? What's gonna happen next? Look, could you get the hell out of here? This is not a movie. This is a experience. I'm sitting up here experiencing something like that, like Cheech and Chong sitting back smoking a joint or something, man. And I'm sitting up here trying to experience this, and you blowing my high. You blowing my high completely. Just not even talking, but just with your restless energy. Those 1917 is a movie I want to watch by myself. I want to watch that all by myself. That is eye candy. Oh my God, that's one of the most beautiful. That's one, man, out of all the war movies ever made, including Apocalypse Now, which was one of the most beautiful war movies ever made, man. I mean, psychedelic. It really captured the 60s. But I mean, man, 1917 was just like, to me, that was like another level. That was really like another level. 1917 was amazing. Wait, hold up. What? Hey, Stan, I'm gonna get back to you. Hey, what's up? What's up, Khadidra Black? What's up? How you doing? You doing all right? You say men who stare at goats. You know what? I didn't see it, so I can't comment on it. Hold up. I cannot comment on it. I haven't seen it. I'm going to have to see it, though. That's the one with, I believe George Clooney is in that movie, right? I'm going to have to see that. I've heard of it. It was a few times where I had a chance to really get the Blu-ray because I was in the store. It was in the Best Buy, and I was looking. I said, man, this movie looks kind of interesting. And usually those type of movies, the movies that don't get all the word of mouth, sometimes be the movies that are really the best movies. Like George Clooney did another movie. He did a movie probably about 7 years ago. I really like it. It's called The American. Amazing movie. He's pretty amazing. He's one of my favorite actors working today. But no, Khadidra, I have not seen Men Who Stare at Goats. I have not seen it, and I'm gonna have to check it out now that you recommend it. Coming from you, I bet it's probably a good movie. But let me get another one here real quick. Hey y'all, look, I've been on here for hours, y'all. I mean, this is good. We could talk all night about this. When it first started, I said, hey, I'm gonna be on here for about, I think I'm gonna do about an hour, and I'm gonna chill out and look at me a movie or something. I've been on here almost 4 hours, so I think I'm gonna answer. I'm gonna respond about 2 or 3 or more of these comments, and then we're gonna have to do this again, though. We're gonna do it again, definitely. Definitely. We broke in now, the door's open. So now we got to do it again. But, what I want to do is get a few more of these, and then I'm going to go and call it a night because I do work a 9 to 5, y'all. And I got to get up, and I got to be up at 5 in the morning. So, the Coen brothers are, oh, man, I never saw that movie. I like the Coen brothers, man. They pretty good, man. Them boys are good, yeah. Oh, man. Okay, the Coen brothers. Because I'm a director's person, you know what I mean? Usually the way I pick movies out is I normally read the synopsis of the film, and not for what it says, but what it leaves out. If it's a totally new director, but usually I like looking at films according to directors, because what people don't realize who go to just see movies and they go, okay, who's in the movie? Samuel L. Jackson. Well, Samuel L. Jackson did not make Pulp Fiction. He acted in it. He was an actor. Now, he made that movie great. He made it good because his performance, but Tarantino was the director. You understand what I'm saying? So, I tend to go with the artist. Actors are artists too. But I'm talking about the person who designed the web. Not to all the little things that get caught up in the web, but the person who spun the web, the director. So, I'm gonna have to check out Men Who Stare at Goats definitely now because of the Coen brothers. I'm gonna have to definitely check that out. They are a couple of my favorite directors. Definitely. The Short Timers. You know what? Now, that's the book that he pulled it from. That's the book by I think it's by Gustav Hasford, I believe. The Short Timers. I believe The Short Timers is by Gustav Hasford, I believe. That's the writer. I have not read the book, but when I read the script and I actually I did like a little review, not a real detailed analysis, not like I would do now, but I just did a little reading up on it, and I read that it was based on a book called The Short Timers by Gustav Hasford. But I have not read the book, but I'm going to have to read it. Because I love the movie. The movie was great. I got it too. A lot of people, they didn't get the what they call the break, I guess, between what happened on Paris Island and them actually over in Vietnam, I guess they were in Saigon at the time. But I got it. I got the connection completely. But that's gonna be for an analysis that I plan on doing. Oh yeah, definitely shout out to Tarantino. Definitely shout out to him. Matter of fact, I think that one of his best movies was his last movie. This is a movie that a lot of people, because you got to realize Tarantino was a novelty when he first came out. I mean, this director was really a novelty. The way that he directed, and the way that he did dialogue, and the way that he approached filmmaking as far as building out the action from the dialogue, because the dialogue really the dialogue was really of all his early movies, it's really like the exposition for the movie and how it's going to play out. Really, the characters at the beginning of his movies, particularly Reservoir Dogs, they are really talking about the movie. Then after the diner scene, they act out in that warehouse everything that they talked about in that diner. And that's what Tarantino was great for doing that, man. For somehow able to put the film in the actors' mouths. And then later on, the actors would just act out everything that they talked about early in the film. Tarantino was great. Well, hey, Dan, man, hey, Stan. Hey, man, look here, man. I appreciate you. Man, hanging with me, man, and I can see you guys love film because look how late you guys are up, man. Look how long I've been talking. Hey, I had no idea I was gonna be on here this long. I said, hey man, I'm gonna go in there for about an hour 45. Man, I'm trying to keep this as brief as possible and run through this. And here we are, we just completely off the script and just talking film. I love it. But yeah, that's what Tarantino, man. That's where he, it was the novelty of the way that he did Reservoir Dogs and then Pulp Fiction and some of his early films. I really didn't care. I ain't gonna lie to you. I really didn't care for Jackie Brown, but most of his films I do like a lot. Even though I do think that sometimes he can become kind of self-absorbed, But his last film, he got a little flack for it. I had to see it twice, and when I saw that film, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I think that might be one of his best movies ever. I really do. I mean, you could really see the maturity of all of those years and all those films that he did in that one film. And if you've seen that film, go back and take a look at it again. But look at it with a clean slate. Look at it. That's one of his best films. Hey, right on, John. Hey, man. Kudos, man. Love you too. And hey, man. Stick around, man. We got some good stuff coming. We got some great stuff. I got some surprises. Back in the day, I used to, kind of let you, kind of like, put it out there what I was going to do. I'm not going to tell anything that I do from this point forward. I'm not going to let you know. It's going to be a complete surprise. Matter of fact, I'm working on a film analysis right now. It's a film that I'm not going to name, but it stars one of my favorite actors. And his name, I can tell you his name starts with a J. His first name starts with a J, and his last name begins with an N. And I'm just going to end it at that. He's one of the all-time great actors ever. And that's the analysis of the film. The film that he did is the analysis that I have coming up next, and I have some more films. And I have some more of these too coming up. I'm gonna see how this right here goes, and I'll probably be doing some more of this stuff and reaching out. I really didn't know about doing this at first because, my thing is actually writing. That's the way that I process my videos. I like to write them, and I like to transfer them over to the film analysis videos and everything. And that's the way I like. But this is kind of fun, though. This is something that I didn't really anticipate. Because this is really fun to be able to really reach out and connect with you guys and really, interact with you guys like this. And I'm definitely going to be doing some more of these. Believe me. And they're all going to have a theme to them. And like I said, when you come, we're going to talk about, what I got going on. But we're going to do it we're going to keep doing it like this, We can break and then we can get off into the comments and then we're gonna keep everything real relaxed. But the main thing is that we all love film. We all love cinema and we're all passionate about film. That's the main thing. So hey, I appreciate you, John. Thanks. Thank you. Thanks to all of you guys. Thanks, Sam. Thanks, Max Giovanni. Thanks, Khadidra. Thanks, Terrence, Stan, who would I mean, Sam, Kickson. Thank you to everybody. Thank you. Praise the Lord. Thank you. I hope you guys have a happy. Let me get a few more of these. Boy, Cow. Caught blood sample for the first time. Well, man, I haven't seen that. I'm glad. I'm glad, man. I'm talking to you guys because you guys are confirming some movies that had been on my radar, man. But I didn't know. I didn't know anybody who saw them. You know, so I'm gonna check that out. Let me check this one right here. Max Giovanni, Death Proof. Oh, I love Death Proof. I got Death Proof on Blu-ray, baby. I got Death Proof on Blu-ray. I love that. The next one, but you know what? I want to get Planet Terror too. Even though Planet Terror is not directed, it's directed by what's his name, Rodriguez. I really don't know who's the better director between Rodriguez and Tarantino. Sometimes, man, because sometimes like Rodriguez, man, kind of stealing his thunder a little bit, man. Sometimes it does. Sometimes it looks like Rodriguez is kind of stealing Tarantino thunder a little bit, you know, because Death Proof is pretty tight, man. Kurt Russell is good in that, man. But man, when he did Planet Terror, and that's got Bruce Willis in it, and it's got my old boy, what's his name? Oh man, he bad, man. He was also in a Villeneuve film called Sicario. Brolin. Oh man, Brolin. Oh, Brolin is in Planet Terror. Man, I'm telling you, man. Oh man, I'm telling you, I love Death Proof and Planet Terror. Hey, right on, Sam, man. I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. Oh, I love film, man. I can talk about this all night. It's time for me to go to bed now. Man, I ain't even eat dinner. Man, that's okay, though. It's all good. It's all good. But I'm gonna get a few more of these, y'all. Hey, may the force be with you, Khadidra. You take it easy. I love you. I love you. You have a good night. And you have a safe Easter. Be careful out here. You know, be careful out here. You know, we want to hear from you next time. Thank you and God bless you. Good night, Stan. You too, man. I love you. Thank you. Thank you for showing up for my very first live stream of Films About Faith. I think I'm going to wrap that up, fella. I think I'm going to wrap that up, y'all. Oh, yeah. Rodriguez is gritty. Right on, Sam. Later. You take it easy, okay? God bless you. Be safe on this holiday. Sam, take it easy. God bless you, Stan. Good night, my friend. Boy Cowboy. Good night. I appreciate it. And tune in for my next video. And also, I want to remind you, if you are not a subscriber, to subscribe to the Godfather of Cinema for more movie reviews and film analysis, and a little bit of this too. Okay, we're gonna start doing this now. So I wish you all a good night. I wish you all a safe holiday weekend, regardless of what your religion is. I wish you a safe weekend, and I hope to see you guys next time. God bless you.